Chapter 1764. They were even more astonished because they knew more. Yi Shiwen had once again blocked this attack. Meanwhile, Yi Shiwen, who had been in a defensive state all along, finally attacked while everyone was still in a state of shock. He pierced through the void as fast as lightning and blasted out a punch. Endless spirit energy was absorbed by his fist and formed a huge cyclone. It then fell on the axe. Bang! Yi Shiwen's fist and the axe collided with each other, producing a loud and sonorous sound. Everyone's eyes widened. They couldn't believe it. How tyrannical was his body? It could contend with a supreme tool. He was simply a monster. Crack, crack, crack. However, that incomparably sharp axe disintegrated little by little in front of everyone's eyes when everyone thought that it was over. It turned into a pile of scrap iron. He was able to destroy a supreme weapon with his bare hands. This person's physical body is probably even more terrifying than the Golden Dragon clan. Only the young deities were able to stand shoulder to shoulder with him. A king-rank expert muttered to himself. His cultivation had reached this level, so he was naturally very clear about the secrets of ancient times. Such a person could be regarded as a top-notch figure even in the mythological era or the era of the kings. Some people also felt that it was a pity that he was born in such an era. He was born in the declining human race. If he had been born in the era of the kings, then he might have had a chance of becoming a king in the future. Is that all? You are still far from it. A disdainful smile flashed across the corner of Yi Shiwen's mouth. He didn't even glance at the Power King. He merely looked towards a certain place in the void and took a deep look at it. Then he entered the space channel. No one from the ancient Phoenix world dared to stop him. Why aren't the people of the ancient Phoenix world stopping him? Are they scared? Indeed, this Yi Shiwen is very scary. He's even scarier than the rumors. I heard that he had fought against Old King Bai Fong and the others. He had been seriously injured and had almost died. I thought that he was just SOSO. Now, it seems that I was too naive. He's just like a young king. Stupid idiot. The Power King's lips couldn't help but squirm as he listened to the discussions of the people around him. He then spat out these words. His entire body was drenched in cold sweat. He wasn't just shocked by Yi Shiwen's strength. The most important thing was that everyone only saw that the axe had been smashed, but they didn't know that the power had passed through the axe and acted on his body. The terrifying, explosive power had instantly paralyzed his whole body. Even now, his whole body slowly regained some mobility. Even so, he didn't dare to act rashly. He could only watch Yi Shiwen pass through the space channel. He had never dared to believe that someone could completely crush him in terms of strength. Their Phoenix bloodline specialized in the law of strength. How could a natural-born Hercules be crushed by a human? If someone told him this before, he would definitely not believe it. But now, the truth was right in front of him. He could not deny it. Everyone saw that Yi Shiwen had also entered, so they didn't stay for long. There was no more excitement to watch, so they stepped into the space channel one after another. After everyone entered the space channel, a vague figure appeared beside the Power King. It was a young man dressed in a fiery red robe. He was like a flame that illuminated the world. His handsome face was slightly wrinkled, and he seemed to be pondering. Did he see me? I'm sorry, I couldn't stop him. The Power King seemed to be deflated as he said. I was provoked by him to attack first. If he had attacked first, then we would have had a chance. We would have used the power of the whole race to kill him. It's nothing. In the end, we underestimated him. A young king? Interesting. Among the human race, there is such a character. It means that the luck of the human race hasn't completely dried up yet. The young man smiled playfully. But does King Tai Tsung really exist? It's best if he does. Otherwise, wouldn't it be too boring? King Tai Tsung is only half a step away from becoming an emperor, and I am destined to become an emperor in the future. There won't be any fun on the road to proving my Tao. You've already done very well in this matter. Don't be depressed. There will naturally be a good time in the future, the young man said with a faint smile. His eyes became more and more profound. Yi Shiwen directly stepped into the space channel. At the other end of the space channel, there was already an emissary waiting there. It seemed that he didn't know what had happened at the other end of the space channel. Seeing Yi Shiwen enter, someone led him into the depths of the ancient Phoenix realm. Although he was merely a messenger, he had the strength of a celestial being realm expert. He was no different from those shocking people outside. For the prince's wedding this time, the ancient Phoenix realm could be considered to have put in a lot of effort. These emissaries were neither servile nor overbearing even when facing the leaders of the various forces. "Where are we going?" Yi Shiwen asked. The one guiding Yi Shiwen was a beautiful woman at the initial stage of the Heaven Realm. "We're going directly to the ancient Phoenix Realm's Imperial City. Our royal family lives in the Imperial City," the beautiful woman said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. It wasn't strange. No one knew how long it had been since the people of the Ancient Desolate had been able to enter the Ancient Phoenix Realm. The last time someone had entered the Ancient Phoenix Realm was because of the invasion of the demon race. Yi Shiwen's divine sense swept out. At a glance, it was a vast and boundless world. During this period of time, he had also looked up a lot of information about the Ancient Phoenix Realm from the ancient books of the Yi family. It was said that although the Ancient Phoenix Realm was only half the size of the Ancient Desolate, it was rich in resources. Although it couldn't be compared to the Ancient Desolate as a whole, it was more fertile than any of the territories controlled by the previous overlords. Therefore, although the Ancient Phoenix Realm had always been unable to counterattack the Ancient Desolate, it was still firmly above the various clans of the Ancient Desolate. However, there was very little information about the Ancient Phoenix Realm in the Yi family. That was because it was an independent world. Only the people of the Ancient Phoenix Realm could come to the Ancient Desolate. However, the people of the Ancient Desolate couldn't go to the Ancient Phoenix Realm. This was because the Ancient Phoenix Realm was under the control of a force, so they could easily seal the entire world. However, the Ancient Desolate couldn't. Firstly, it was the main plane. Its territory was too vast. Secondly, there were too many forces. So, it was impossible to coordinate with each other. Yi Shiwen and the woman were treading on the light all the way. There was still a considerable distance between them and the Imperial City. Therefore, it was impossible to place the other end of the space channel in the Imperial City from a safety point of view. Everyone was clear about this point. Huge birds were constantly flying through the void along the way. Each of them was abnormally huge. Moreover, they were emitting a dreadful aura. However, none of them dared to come over when they saw these two people. It seemed as if they knew that these two people weren't to be trifled with. However, what made Yi Shiwen feel strange was that he could clearly see a city rising up from the ground in the Ancient Phoenix Realm. The entire Ancient Phoenix Realm was very prosperous. However, what made him feel strange was that there were many different races here. He could even see the human race, the sea race, the demon race, and even the people of the devil race. What's going on? Yi Shiwen was very puzzled in his heart. However, he immediately understood after thinking about it for a while. "I'm afraid that the Ancient Phoenix Realm's ambition isn't small." Yi Shiwen's heart was filled with apprehension, just like the lords of the other forces. However, he suddenly saw an incomparably huge chariot streaking across the void when he was about to open his mouth. The bodies of 9 rare birds and strange beasts were releasing formidable auras. However, only one of them was pulling the chariot at this time. The entire chariot looked like a small city. It had traversed across the void and was incomparably shocking. A tyrannical aura was radiating from the chariot. It traversed across the vast sky and dispersed in all directions. It didn't seem to have any misgivings about the Ancient Phoenix Realm. Yi Shiwen clearly felt that someone's divine sense had swept over them when he looked over. It seemed as if that person had found out that there wasn't any danger. Then, that person disappeared in front of these two people along with the chariot. "Who is this?" Yi Shiwen asked as he saw that the chariot had disappeared. "Could it be that it's a big shot of your Ancient Phoenix Realm?" "Of course not. This is the chariot of an immortal inheritance's martial great master. They are known as the authentic martial arts practitioners of the world." The beautiful woman looked at the chariot. She seemed to be fascinated by it. This had surprised Yi Shiwen. One must know that this beautiful woman had been neither servile nor overbearing since the beginning. In fact, He could even faintly feel the pride and disdain in her heart. However, a trace of fascination had appeared on her face when she had mentioned this martial great master. What was the origin of this martial great master? How come he had never heard about this martial great master? May I know which world this martial great master comes from? Yi Shiwen couldn't help but ask. They are the immortal inheritances of the heaven realm. It's normal that the distinguished guest doesn't know about them. The beautiful woman explained. Heaven realm? Yi Shiwen's heart suddenly quivered. He recalled what he had learned before. The gods who had been suppressed in the battlefield of the gods had either fallen or fallen into deep slumber. They had invaded a place called the heaven realm, and they had been defeated by an almighty expert through the space channel. So, they had been suppressed in the battlefield. What kind of world was that? It could even defeat the gods. This martial great master seemed to have an extraordinary origin. That's the immortal inheritance of an emperor. Chapter 1765. That's an immortal inheritance that once came from an imperial emperor. The words of this beautiful woman had thoroughly shocked Yi Shiwen. The Emperor Lord was a powerhouse of the emperor level. Any one of them was an earth-shattering powerhouse. They could rule over a part of the world. They were the true supreme monarchs. Apart from the Hidden Devil clan and the Fallen Angel clan, the other 6 clans were able to firmly rule the entire devil world. There was only one reason why the 8 royal clans of the devil race were able to firmly rule the entire devil world. That was because they had emperor-level characters. The reason why the demon race had once ruled over the ancient desolation was because they had once produced a monarch-level character. There was only one reason why the ancient Phoenix realm was able to rule over the ancient desolation even more than the demon race. It was because they had produced a monarch-level expert. In this world, all the famous large races that ruled over a region had once produced sovereign emperors. They possessed incredible accumulations that ordinary races could not imagine. Yi Shiwen was naturally extremely shocked in his heart. The name of the martial ancestor has spread far and wide. Emperor Qin used his own strength to revive the heaven realm and establish the foundation of the martial ancestor. He is an extraordinary person. As the beautiful woman spoke, a look of fascination appeared on her face. Then, this beautiful woman didn't say anything. Yi Shiwen also didn't ask much, but he kept it in mind. Although the two of them couldn't catch up to the carriage, they were still extremely fast. Even when they weren't using their full strength, they were still very fast. As fast as lightning. In less than 2 hours, they had already traversed half of the ancient Phoenix world and arrived at the Imperial City. The entire Imperial City occupied an incalculable area, and its city walls extended for an unknown number of miles. The golden city walls seemed as if they had been piled up with gold. The surface of the city was covered with traces of weathering over the years. This indicated the long history of the Imperial City. Many formidable magic arrays were engraved on the city walls. The entire Imperial City was exuding a tyrannical aura. The entire Imperial City was formed by the condensation of countless auras, and they were hovering in the sky. Ordinary people couldn't see them. However, this was the so-called destiny. It was the destiny of a clan. One could roughly understand it by looking at it. There was no doubt that the Imperial City of the ancient Phoenix world was the largest city that Yi Shiwen had ever seen. It was also the most prosperous city. Perhaps even the human imperial court was inferior to it. Yi Shiwen finally arrived at a group of courtyards under the guidance of this beautiful woman. The delegations of various clans had settled down in a group of courtyards. In fact, it would be better to say that it was a small city rather than a group of courtyards. The powerhouses who had come from various worlds to participate in the wedding of the princes of the ancient Phoenix world had gathered here. There were tyrannical beasts with 8 legs and 2 wings, their ferocious might shaking the heavens. There were also powerful flying beasts, and there were even many strange beasts with ancient auras. They didn't take human form, but instead directly appeared in their beast forms, making them look even more mighty. He had originally thought that the ancient Phoenix world had only invited the various clans of the ancient desolate era. However, Many tyrannical existences from other worlds had also come here. In fact, there were many worlds that had never been heard of in the ancient times. Moreover, it could produce these extremely powerful, ominous beasts. Obviously, it wasn't a small world like the true martial world. It was an extremely huge world. Although Yi Shiwen had come alone, he was the representative of the human race. So, he was arranged to sit together with the various clans of the ancient desolate era. As the representative of the human race, Yi Shiwen also obtained an independent courtyard. Many of the top elites of the various worlds were gathered in this area, and it instantly became a place of trouble. A storm was brewing. The ancient Phoenix realm had also sent people to warn everyone that it was best not to go out during this period of time. This was to prevent any collisions from happening. That would be bad. Early in the morning, a loud noise came from the courtyard where Yi Shiwen was staying. He had just woken up from his sleep and suddenly saw a huge claw pressing down from the sky. It seemed as if the claw was going to crush their entire courtyard. Who dares to be so impudent here? With a loud roar, a water sword descended from the sky and directly slashed at that incomparably huge claw. With a loud bang, they collided. Rumble! Amidst the explosion, the void distorted violently, like a piece of paper crazily twisting. The void would have already collapsed if this had happened outside. However, the space here was obviously fixed by a matrix, so it was impossible to collapse it. Then a figure flew over. Yi Shiwen fixed his eyes on this person. He was also an old acquaintance. Who else could it be if it wasn't Hai Wuya? A sharp light suddenly flashed in Yi Shiwen's eyes. This Hai Wuya had wanted to kill him from the very beginning. Yi Shiwen naturally wouldn't forget this deed. At this time, the owner of that huge claw also appeared in the sky. It was a huge, ominous beast whose entire body was pitch black. It was flickering with the light of thunder. It looked somewhat like a qilin. However, it had an even more ferocious appearance. Its entire body was covered with thunder and lightning. It seemed like a thunder beast. This area has been expropriated by me. If you don't want to die, get lost. This giant beast opened its mouth, and its rumbling voice was like a great bell. How did this killing prodigy come out? That lightning beast is said to have come from the profound world battlefield in order to participate in the wedding of the ancient Phoenix Prince. It's an existence that has fought in the profound world battlefield. Its cultivation has already reached an unimaginable level. Isn't that so? Who are these people? How did they catch the eye of this killer? I think it's called the Ancient Barrens Continent. Only God knows which remote area it is. You guys don't know. The Ancient Barrens Continent isn't some remote area. On the contrary, it's the location of the famous demon realm in the past. Back then, the demon race dominated the myriad heavens. Many worlds were their territories. Now, there are still forces of the demon race in many worlds. They're not characters that can be trifled with. I've never heard of it. It must have declined. What's so special about it? Even the emperor can't live forever. Back then, the demon race produced several demon monarchs that ruled the world. They were extremely daring. They even dared to attack the underworld. In the end, they were still beaten half to death by the human race in the heaven realm. They were almost counterattacked. There are talents emerging in every generation. Each of them leads the way for hundreds of years. In the countless years of history of the myriad heavens, who hasn't had a glorious time? Maybe some poor place is where the emperor used to live. But no matter what, there's a good show to watch. Many people immediately started discussing. They came from various worlds and were the elites of those worlds. Which one of them wasn't an extremely daring lord, a young genius, or a lord of a territory? In their own world, they were lawless existences. They didn't care if their discussions were heard by others. Hearing these discussions, the expressions of the people in the ancient Barrens continent turned ugly. They originally thought that they would be honored guests of the ancient Phoenix realm. But now, it seemed that they were merely a portion of the guests invited by the ancient Phoenix realm. The force they were so proud of was actually regarded as some remote area. No matter how they thought about it, they felt sullen and depressed. Get lost. Don't force me to kill you. Are you from the Sea Clan? At this time, the lightning beast looked at Hai Wuya. You're just a weak member of the Sea Clan. How dare you clamor in front of me? Who do you think you are? In the profound world battlefield, I've killed countless members of the Sea Clan. Presumptuous. At this time, several representatives of the forces of the Sea Clan flew out and berated. They were all lords of the Sea Clan and experts of the King Division. Any one of them could be said to be an influential figure in the ancient barons with illustrious reputation. At this time, they naturally wouldn't weaken their prestige. Get lost! Don't block my way! At this time, the lightning beast instantly attacked and swept its front claws. Bang! 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 An incomparably terrifying collision occurred. These experts of the King Division were instantly blasted away. Their bodies felt as if they had been bombarded by a mountain. Their entire bodies felt like they were about to fall apart. The experts of the 100-Clan Alliance and the demon race who hadn't gone out yet were also dumbfounded at this time. They couldn't believe that Yi Shiwen had injured so many experts of the King Division with a single blow. They originally thought that it was already a shocking miracle for Yi Shiwen to kill so many experts of the King Division in a single battle. They didn't expect that this lightning beast would be even more terrifying. How arrogant. It's just a lightning beast. How can someone with the bloodline of the ancient barons be so arrogant? Haiwuya said coldly. Although this lightning beast was incomparably arrogant, Haiwuya wasn't a pushover that could be easily bullied. I'm just being arrogant. What can you do to me? As the lightning beast spoke, it instantly attacked. Its attack was as fast as lightning, and it was extremely fast. Everyone heard a sharp piercing sound and a series of afterimages in the void. This lightning beast had already pounced in front of Haiwuya. Its pair of huge front claws instantly formed across and clawed at Haiwuya. Child's play, Haiwuya said faintly. His figure suddenly moved. His feet stepped on the boundless waves and instantly disappeared from where he was. The lightning beast's attack missed. His figure flew directly into the air, and a water sword took shape in his hand. It began to spin violently, and with a constant clanging sound, it formed a huge water spout and blasted towards the thunderbolt beast. Boom! With a loud bang, the lightning beast was immediately blasted. The lightning armor all over its body cracked in an instant. A bloody hole was drilled on its head. Then, it roared continuously as it was blasted away. That mountain-like figure was actually sent flying by the attack. Chapter 1766. Haiwuya's actions were straightforward and efficient. He directly blasted the lightning beast away, completely shocking everyone present. Although they were both king-grade experts, the gap between their strength was like the gap between heaven and earth. The lightning behemoth had been to the profound world battlefield and was able to come out unscathed. Even in the eyes of these elites from various worlds, it was an illustrious and famous existence. Compared to the lightning beast, even if Haiwuya's reputation was like the sun in the sky in the ancient desolation, they still didn't put him in their eyes. The ferocity of the lightning beast was witnessed by everyone. It was indeed worthy of being a fierce beast that had escaped unscathed from the profound world battlefield. With just one attack, several king-grade experts were easily blasted away and almost obliterated by it. It was indeed worthy of its name. Not to mention the people from the ancient desolation. They were almost scared to death. What did it mean to say that there would always be someone better than you? What did it mean to say that there would always be someone better than you? Even though they were in the same realm, Haiwuya could easily defeat them, especially the Monster Race and the 100-Race Alliance. At this time, they couldn't help but feel sad. Although they belonged to different races, there was no doubt that they all came from the same world. At this time, they were bound together for glory and shame. If they were humiliated by this fierce beast here, how would they have the face to go back and face their juniors? This time, they had come to the ancient Phoenix realm and sent a powerful lineup. Apart from trying to rope in the ancient Phoenix realm, it was also to promote their strength. However, it seemed that they had suddenly been put on a show of strength. Although they didn't know why the ancient Phoenix realm had arranged for them to be in the same area, it was obvious that it wasn't out of good intentions. However, what surprised the various races even more was that Haiwuya had actually repelled the lightning beast with a single blow. What's the origin of this person? He seems quite powerful. There's actually such a person in the ancient desolation. This is a member of the sea race. There are many sea race in various worlds. For example, in the heaven realm, there is an immortal inheritance left behind by the sea race. However, I didn't expect such a powerful genius to exist in such a remote world. Yes, I didn't expect it at all. It's only natural that the lightning beast is so powerful. He has the bloodline of a desolate beast. Those desolate beasts from ancient times were terrifying existences that even dared to devour the gods. Now, although they can no longer be seen, we can still see a thing or two from their descendants. Furthermore, the lightning behemoths were able to escape from the profound world battlefield unscathed. You should know about that place. If it were you, how many of you would dare to go there? Those who survived have the hope of reaching the Tao, confirming realm in the future. In that case, this Hai Wuya isn't as simple as he seems, right? Then, let's wait and see. Maybe in the future, we'll hear his name from the profound world battlefield. Yi Shiwen's gaze turned towards Hai Wuya, who was in the void. He hadn't fought with Hai Wuya directly. Therefore, he didn't have much of an intuitive understanding of Hai Wuya's strength. However, he had a hunch that Hai Wuya would become his mortal enemy in the future. So, he naturally wouldn't let go of this opportunity to understand Hai Wuya's strength. Roar! 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 The lightning behemoth kept roaring crazily. It seemed as if it hadn't expected that it would be injured in this place. Perhaps someone could injure it, but it definitely wouldn't be here. It definitely wouldn't be the people from the ancient desolation. You're dead. You've thoroughly enraged this uncle. It roared and glared at Hai Wuya. The injury on its head was rapidly recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. The tyrannical strength of its body was far from ordinary. If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Hai Wuya said coldly, not giving in at all. Although the lightning behemoth in front of him was very ferocious, and making an enemy out of it was not a wise decision, he would never back down from being bullied right at his doorstep. He was also a lawless person. In the ancient desolation, no one could control him, let alone here. His eyes were overflowing with killing intent. A great battle was about to break out. Everyone held their breath. Just when everyone thought that a great battle was about to break out, an even more intense aura burst out from the void. Immediately afterward, a golden light with a long tail descended from the sky. The golden light filled the sky and directly submerged the entire world. Everyone looked over and saw that it was a young man dressed in a golden dragon robe. He had an imposing appearance, and his aura was extraordinary. Around him, the gazes of the crowd seemed to be deeply immersed in him. It was a kind of mysterious realm within a mysterious realm. Wherever he passed, everyone would make way for him. It was as if they were naturally subdued by the aura of a king. I can't believe I saw a lightning beast here. This young man laughed heartily. What good luck! What do you think? This prince has just finished making a carriage, but I don't have a strange beast to pull it. Tifeisk, your lightning beast ancestors are wild beasts, not inferior to gods. So you are indeed qualified to be this prince's strange beast to pull the carriage. It was really a headache to find a rare strange beast worthy of this prince's identity. But now, this prince has sent one to this prince. Everyone on the scene couldn't help but feel a chill run down their spine. They looked at the young man in surprise. Where did this young man come from? He wanted a lightning beast to pull his chariot. What kind of arrogance and despotism was this young man? It was impossible to describe the temperament of this young man. He was like a young king, a child of a god. Even among all the fierce beasts, the lightning behemoth could be regarded as one of the most powerful ones. Its cultivation had already reached the peak of the king level, and it was only a step away from entering the profound realm. Everyone on the scene was either a leader of a force or a young genius, but no one dared to look down on this lightning behemoth. However, in the eyes of this young man, it was only used to pull a chariot. Suddenly, not only the lightning behemoth, but also the other beasts who had also revealed their true forms felt a chill run down their spine. They were afraid that they would be taken by this young man to pull his chariot. There were also a few hidden beasts among them that were not any weaker than the lightning behemoth. At this moment, they suddenly had a bad premonition. Although this young man hadn't made a move yet, his body was emitting an aura that made them incomparably afraid. It was a kind of pressure that was emitted from the primitive bloodline of a superior to a subordinate. The lightning behemoth roared, "Get out of here!" However, it didn't make any move. It wasn't like a moment ago, when it directly attacked before its voice had even died away. Presumably, it was also very afraid of this young man. It kept roaring in a low voice and fixed its huge eyes on this young man. Sigh, this is really troublesome. You actually don't want to. Do you want this prince to use force? The young man said while holding his forehead, as if he was very troubled. Then, the young man looked at Hai Wuya and said, Tisk, you're even better. Even if you have a strange beast to pull my chariot, it can't be without a coachman. You have the bloodline of a god, so you can pull my chariot. Hai Wuya's face instantly turned livid. He was the dignified son of a god, and he had the pure bloodline of a god. In just a few decades, he had already entered the king rank. When had he ever been looked down upon like this? To actually make him a coachman? This was simply intolerable. At this moment, the others were slightly enlightened. This lightning behemoth was already very powerful. As the descendant of an immemorial wild beast, its ancestors were not even afraid of gods. Its aptitude and talent were also first class among the people present. Yet, Hai Wuya was actually able to send it flying with one blow. Obviously, he was not ordinary. Only now did they know that he actually had the bloodline of the sea god. No wonder he was so powerful. However, even such a person could only be a coachman for this person. Who was this person? Hai Wuya's aura continued to rise, and there were signs that he would attack at any time. Ao Sheba, after not seeing each other for so many years, you've become even more arrogant. You don't have the slightest bit of restraint. After hearing a lazy voice, a figure slowly appeared in the void. Everyone's eyes were like spotlights shining on this figure. Slowly, the figure of a young man in a luxurious robe appeared in front of everyone. His face was delicate and handsome, and he had sharp eyebrows and eagle-like eyes. He looked rather arrogant and had an extraordinary temperament. What? Qin Lai, are you going to meddle in this matter? The young man in the dragon robe looked at this young man and could not help but frown. However, he did not act rashly. Unlike his previous relaxed and casual expression, there was a bit of a look of fear on his face. Meddle? TSK, no, it's just that I can't bear to watch it. You even dared to capture a lightning beast to pull your carriage. You are still as arrogant as before. The young man, Qin Lai, said with a cold smile. How can it be compared to your Qin family? Back then, you captured 9 of my ancestors and made them into 9 dragons' carriage. The young man in the dragon robe, Ao Sheba, looked at Qin Lai with an unfriendly gaze. T. Back then, when my ancestors attained Tao, you didn't even dare to say a word of nonsense. Now, you know that you have to fuss about it. If you want to talk nonsense, why didn't you do it earlier? It's too late, Qin Lai said disdainfully. However, I can tell you that this is the ancient Phoenix world, not your Dragon Island. Does your family know that you are so arrogant here? Don't pretend to be a good person. Do you think they will be partial to you just because you express goodwill? At the end of the day, it still depends on strength. Whoever has the bigger fist is the most useful, Ao Sheba said as he looked at Qin Lai coldly. You're right. I have long wanted to experience your superior skills, Qin Lai said as a powerful aura instantly erupted from his body. Everyone, please be quiet. My king has decreed. Chapter 1767. Yi Shiwen suddenly opened his eyes when he felt Qin Lai's powerful aura. Mysterious realm. This was a mysterious realm expert. He was immediately shocked. In the ancient times, only some old antiques could enter the mysterious realm. However, Qin Lai was not that old, yet he had already entered the mysterious realm. This showed the deep foundation of a martial ancestor. There was also Ao Sheba, his imposing aura sword, and it wasn't inferior to Qin Lai's. He hadn't released his domain, but he had instantly taken control of an area. Even Yi Shiwen felt as if he was in the middle of Ao Shiba's aura. Just his aura alone was enough to suppress everyone. This was the terror of a mysterious realm expert. Yi Shiwen was not the only one who was shocked. Even Hai Wuya, who was far away, was extremely angry. His face was red. He was the dignified sea god's son. When did he become a coachman? This was a blatant humiliation. Everyone, please be quiet. My king has decreed. At this moment, a female official wearing a luxurious robe descended from the sky. She directly stood between Ao Shiba and Qin Lai, completely ignoring the aura of the two terrifying experts. It directly plunged into their midst, instantly breaking the aura created by the collision between the two of them. This caused everyone's expression to change. This female official was also extraordinary. Whether it was because of the fear of this female official's unfathomable strength or out of respect for the ancient Phoenix realm, even the unruly people suddenly quieted down and no longer acted presumptuously. Everyone looked at the female official, not knowing what kind of decree the Phoenix King had. My king has decreed that the Nirvana Pond will open in 3 days. As the distinguished guests of the ancient Phoenix realm, you can go there to look for opportunities. The female official said expressionlessly. What Nirvana Pond is opening? That's great. I thought it would only be opened after the wedding ceremony. It's finally here. I came all the way from the mysterious realm battlefield. What is it for? Isn't it for the Nirvana Pond? Everyone suddenly became happy. Their faces were filled with surprise and joy. Obviously, they had heard about it. Many people even came for the Nirvana Pond. Only the people from the ancient desolate had strange expressions on their faces. This was because they had no idea what was going on here, nor did they know that the Nirvana pool was going to be open this time. They were completely unprepared. What? The Nirvana pool is going to be open? Why didn't we receive any news about it? Many people were rather dissatisfied as they spoke out. Speaking of which, the ancient Phoenix world was a little excessive. However, everyone didn't say anything. The strength of the ancient Phoenix world was much more profound than what they had imagined. On the contrary, the ancient Phoenix world had been isolated from the outside world for too long. So, it seemed as if the ancient Phoenix world couldn't keep up with the outside world. Looks like everyone knows about it, only we don't know about it. This ancient Phoenix realm is clearly planning to make fun of us. That's right. They're planning to give us a show of strength. Everyone in the desolate antiquity was in a heated discussion. These people were either the young elites or the leaders of the major forces. Any one of them could be said to be extremely knowledgeable. Naturally, they wouldn't be completely ignorant about the Nirvana Pond. It was said that there was a Nirvana Pond in the depths of the ancient Phoenix world. It was the ancestral land of the entire Phoenix race. It was also the core place of the Phoenix race. Phoenixes had the characteristics of Nirvana. However, not all of them could succeed in their nirvana. In fact, there were even cases where they had failed in their nirvana and died. However, the chances of succeeding in their nirvana would greatly increase if they could practice in the Nirvana Pond. This was also the foundation of the Phoenix race. The Nirvana Pond was no different from the Dragon Island's Dragon Transformation Pond. It was said that the first 9-colored phoenix had appeared in the world in the past, and it had been personally refined by the ancestor of the Phoenix race. Only a few geniuses among the Phoenix race would have the opportunity to practice in the Nirvana Pond. Therefore, they had never thought of this point. However, they hadn't expected that the ancient Phoenix world would actually have the intention to open it up. However, the most terrible thing was that the people of the ancient Phoenix world hadn't revealed any information about this. This had caught them off guard. Therefore, they had been caught unprepared. However, no one was willing to let go of such a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Compared to Yi Shiwen, Hai Wuya, and the others, these lords of the major forces were mostly in their prime. Some of them had even entered their twilight years. They hadn't entered the angel's decay stage yet. However, they might not make any progress in their lifetime if they didn't have any special opportunities. The probability of breaking into the nascent profound realm was simply too small. However, if they could enter the Nirvana Pond, then their chances of breaking into the mysterious realm would be much greater. Yi Shiwen was also very excited about this. As far as the human race was concerned, only by entering into the mysterious realm would he be qualified to deter the other races. Although it wouldn't be enough to contend against the Devil Lord of the Abyss, he would at least be able to deter the other restless races. He was confident that he could protect the human race even without the deterrence of King Taitsong. He couldn't help but become excited thinking of this. With the help of the Nirvana Pond, coupled with the Phoenix regeneration technique in his body, his cultivation should be very promising. He should be able to break into the mysterious realm. At that time, his situation would also greatly change. However, not waiting for everyone's mood to calm down, the female official said another earth-shattering news. This time, in addition to participating in the wedding ceremony of our clan's prince, there is another very important matter. After the wedding, our king will select a husband for his adopted daughter. The participating races are not limited. At that time, the young talents of our clan will also participate. It will become a grand event for all races to interact with each other. At this time, the female official said word by word. Moreover, Yi Shiwen clearly felt that her gaze was intentionally or unintentionally moving towards him. He couldn't help but feel somewhat puzzled in his heart. This adopted daughter, could it be the heavenly Phoenix girl who had previously shone brilliantly in the mysterious world battlefields? Someone asked in a loud voice. That's right, the female official said indifferently. What? It's actually the heavenly Phoenix girl. Many people's eyes suddenly lit up. They had heard about all kinds of legends about the heavenly Phoenix girl. However, they didn't expect that they would actually have the opportunity to marry the heavenly Phoenix girl. Originally, the reason why they came was because they knew that the Nirvana Pond would be opened. Who knew that there would be even more explosive news? As the adopted daughter of the Phoenix King, the heavenly Phoenix girl was actually going to select a husband. For them, this was undoubtedly a very strong stimulation. Only Ao, Sheba, and Qinlai looked as if they already knew what was going to happen. For them, although the effects of the Nirvana Pond were still there, it was not as urgent as those king-ranked experts who wanted to break into the profound realm. It is rumored that the heavenly Phoenix girl is the adopted daughter of the Phoenix King from another place. Since she appeared in the mysterious world battlefield more than 100 years ago, she quickly became famous. She can be said to be both talented and beautiful. Whoever marries her will not only have a powerful helper, but also obtain the support of the ancient Phoenix realm. That's right. However, it is said that the heavenly Phoenix girl is not a member of the Phoenix clan. There are also rumors that she is a human. Is that true? How can you believe this kind of rumor? Moreover, the Phoenix clan has been established for countless years. Apart from those with pure bloodlines, there are many subspecies. There are also subspecies among the human race. What's so strange about this? Strictly speaking, it's fine to be a human, but it's also fine to be a member of the Phoenix clan. At this time, someone asked, what if the heavenly Phoenix girl is unwilling? The heavenly Phoenix girl can go on a killing spree in the mysterious world. If she is unwilling, then there's nothing we can do. As soon as this person said this, everyone immediately felt as if a basin of cold water had been poured over them. Indeed, the heavenly Phoenix girl was not an ordinary person. She was even a terrifying existence that had the potential to prove her Tao in the future. Marrying such a wife was not something that ordinary people could control. If she was willing, then it would be fine. However, if she was unwilling, then when the time came, they might be seeking their own deaths. Even if they were killed, there would be no way to reason with them. This is the problem of my clan. I'm sure it won't disappoint you. The female official said with an ice-cold expression. It seemed that she did not take these people's questions to heart at all. Since that's the case, then I can rest assured. That's right. It's just that I don't know when the search for a son-in-law will begin. When the time comes, there will be a special person to inform all distinguished guests. If you have any questions, you can find a special person to ask. This official still has matters to attend to, so forgive me for not being able to accompany you. After the female official finished speaking, she did not give anyone a chance to continue asking questions. She directly disappeared in the direction of the imperial palace, as if she was going back to hand in the imperial decree. As soon as the female official left, everyone immediately became excited. Whether it was the news of the Heavenly Phoenix girl's son-in-law search or the opening of the Nirvana pool, it was a huge shock to these important people. All of a sudden, everyone was on guard against each other. If it was really as the female official said, then they would become each other's opponents. I've said before that the most effective thing is still the fist. Even if you speak up for them, it's useless. The Phoenix King will not be biased towards you just because you said a few good words. Aoshiba said as he looked at Qin Lai provocatively. It was obvious that he already knew this and was exceptionally confident. Fist? Whether your fist is as big as mine or not is another matter. Qin Lai did not show the slightest bit of weakness. The people of our martial sect never shrink back. Humph! Aoshiba snorted coldly. He did not stay any longer and directly left. He was not in the mood to continue confronting Qin Lai. After Aoshiba left, Qin Lai also quickly left. It seemed that he did not have much interest in the remaining people. Heavenly Phoenix girl? Yi Shiwen's heart faintly jumped. Suddenly, a shocking thought flashed in his mind. Could it be that this Heavenly Phoenix girl is actually Hua Minghan? Chapter 1768. Thinking of this, Yi Shiwen's various thoughts were like a flood bursting out of a dam. Originally, he wasn't very interested in this son-in-law selection. But now, if the Heavenly Phoenix Maiden was Hua Minghan, then he would have to participate in the competition, regardless of whether he was willing or not. If the matter of the Nirvana Pond was out of everyone's expectations, then the matter of this son-in-law selection was out of everyone's expectations. They hadn't heard anything about it before. Aoshiba, Aoshiba, Aoshiba. Hai Wuya looked ferociously at the direction where Aoshiba had disappeared. Today's matter was undoubtedly a humiliation for him. In his entire life, he had never been so humiliated. No one had ever dared to treat him as a coachman. Now that he thought about it, if he had been caught as a coachman, even for a second, he wouldn't have been able to raise his head for the rest of his life. Even now, he felt that everyone was laughing at him. He was extremely angry. At this time, Yi Shiwen also retracted his gaze. He was secretly pondering in his heart. From the beginning to the end, there was a strange atmosphere about this matter. First of all, the opening of the Nirvana Pond was very strange. As far as he knew, the Nirvana Pond had never been open to the public. This was similar to the opening of the Dragon Island's Dragon Transformation Pond to the public. It was an inconceivable matter in itself. Although it was said to add to the happiness of the prince's marriage, it was actually unreasonable. Moreover, the matter of selecting a son-in-law for the Heavenly Phoenix Maiden was even more strange. There were many experts among the people who had come this time. Among them, there were outstanding experts like the giant Thunder Beast. This was under the circumstances that the ancient Phoenix realm hadn't publicized this matter on a large scale. If the ancient Phoenix realm had released the news that they were selecting a son-in-law for the Heavenly Phoenix Maiden, then countless young talents would have come. In that case, it would have been much better in terms of both quantity and quality. Moreover, the meaning of the female official was clear. Regardless of whether the Heavenly Phoenix Maiden was willing or not, she would still be forced to marry. This was so inconceivable for the beloved adopted daughter of the Phoenix King. No matter how one looked at it, it was simply impossible. But no matter what, Yi Shiwen had already made up his mind to investigate this matter to the end. Originally, he had come to the ancient Phoenix realm with the intention of finding out the truth and finding a way to take Hua Minghan away. What he needed to do now was wait for the Nirvana pool to open in 3 days, and then break into the profound realm. However, before he could settle down, someone came knocking on his door. "Are you Yi Shiwen?" This was a girl who looked about 15 or 16 years old. Her height was just above Yi Shiwen's chest. Yi Shiwen's body was not too tall and sturdy, but this girl's height was only up to his chest and nothing more. This young girl wore a long blue dress. Her skin was as white as snow, and her beautiful eyes were filled with ripples. "Miss, may I know who you are?" Yi Shiwen asked. "You are Yi Shiwen, that's great." The girl's voice had barely faded when she instantly rushed towards Yi Shiwen to grab him. Her white jade-like palm directly fell towards Yi Shiwen. Quick, quick, quick. It was as if it had reached an extreme speed, leaving only afterimages in the void. The space distorted inch by inch, and only a sharp piercing sound could be heard. This white jade-like palm instantly transformed into a sharp claw and fell towards Yi Shiwen. However, her speed was fast, but Yi Shiwen's speed was even faster. Almost in an instant, she was directly caught by Yi Shiwen. Bang! This girl's delicate wrist was directly caught by Yi Shiwen on the spot. What do you want to do? Yi Shiwen berated in a stern voice. However, he didn't wait for her to continue to exert force, and saw this girl twist her waist. Her entire body soared into the sky, and her leg kicked towards Yi Shiwen's head. The explosive kick tore through the vast sky. Perhaps even a mountain would be blown apart if it were to be kicked. Yi Shiwen reacted quickly and used his other hand to grab this foot on the spot. Bang! A powerful force shook Yi Shiwen's arm slightly. Yi Shiwen had the tyrannical tyrant body, so one could well imagine the terrifying might of this leg whip. However, this girl didn't intend to stop. She released her other hand and blasted a punch towards Yi Shiwen. A dreadful fist intention manifested in the fist energy and instantly suppressed Yi Shiwen. Yi Shiwen was helpless. He could only tiptoe, and his figure constantly jumped backwards. Bang! The sky exploded and turned into a mess. The spirit energy boiled and was annihilated. A huge storm was set off, and Yi Shiwen's clothes were fluttering in the wind. Don't blame me if you don't tell me who you are, and continue to attack me, Yi Shiwen said in a cold voice. His patience wasn't limitless. This girl didn't speak anything. She merely looked at Yi Shiwen with a smile, and then said, "It seems that your skills are pretty good. Sister Hua didn't misjudge you." Yi Shiwen's eyes suddenly opened wide. What did you say? His breathing began to quicken. He had been trying to find a way to inquire about Hua Menghan ever since he had entered the ancient Phoenix world. However, this area was under strict control. So, he hadn't had the time to go out and inquire about the news when someone had sent him a message. Why are you looking at me so fiercely? This girl pursed her lips and looked at Yi Shiwen with dissatisfaction. Who are you? Yi Shiwen asked. You don't need to know who I am. But, do you want to hear about Sister Hua? This girl said with a smile. She didn't seem to be suppressed by Yi Shiwen's imposing aura. Her delicate little face looked at Yi Shiwen with a hint of ridicule in it. All right, tell me. Yi Shiwen calmed down the surging blood in his heart and said, That's right. The girl said with a smile, I will only say it once. You must listen carefully. You know that Sister Hua will be looking for a son-in-law after the wedding ceremony, right? Yes. Yi Shiwen nodded. He thought in his heart, the heavenly phoenix woman is indeed Hua Menghan. In other words, I wasn't mistaken. No wonder I had such an intense premonition in my heart. You must participate. Otherwise, Sister Hua will fall into a state of eternal damnation. This girl said, What's going on? Yi Shiwen asked. This matter had revealed a strange atmosphere from beginning to end. However, in order to retain the bloodline of the heavenly phoenix, some elders were very dissatisfied with Phoenix King's support for Sister Hua. They demanded to stop the cultivation of Sister Hua on the grounds that she was a human. However, in order to retain the bloodline of the heavenly phoenix, they forced Sister Hua to marry a prince of the clan. Although Sister Hua argued for what was right, she couldn't resist the huge pressure of the elders. Even I, the Phoenix King, couldn't act willfully. Therefore, many Heaven's Pride experts of our clan will also participate in this selection. Moreover, they are despicable. They won't announce this selection to the public. Therefore, only a few true heroes of each clan will participate in this selection. Apart from Ao Shiba and Qinlai, there are no decent ones. Sister Hua is a Heaven's Pride expert. How can she marry those trash? This girl snorted coldly. She seemed to be completely disdainful of those ordinary Heaven's Pride experts. She didn't put them in her eyes at all. After hearing this girl's explanation, Yi Shiwen finally understood why this matter was so strange. Why did they suddenly invite the ancient Barrens continent into the ancient Phoenix realm? This was unprecedented. Moreover, the opening of the Nirvana pool and the heavenly Phoenix maiden son-in-law selection were never made clear. It turned out that they were hiding it. Perhaps the elders of the ancient Phoenix realm didn't want to attract experts who were too powerful to compete with the elites of their clan. There were countless Heaven's Pride experts in this world. Many of them were tyrannical and far beyond the imagination of ordinary people. Even if they couldn't be sure. Even so, it still attracted two terrifying profound life realm experts, Ao Sheba and Qin Lai. It showed that the elders' worries weren't unreasonable. Originally, we didn't know what to do. However, since you're here, that's for the best. If you can defeat all of them and take Sister Hua away in an open and above-board manner, even those stubborn old fogies will have nothing to say. They won't make things difficult for Sister Hua anymore, said the girl. I was afraid that you wouldn't be able to do it. In the end, I gave it a try. You're passable. Although you're not too strong, you're not weak either. However, I'm afraid it's still not enough. What a headache. Then, the girl held her forehead and sighed. She looked like a little lowly, even if she was pretending to be deep, but she still looked exceptionally cute. Even the corner of Yi Shiwen's mouth couldn't help but slightly twitch, and he almost laughed. However, even so, he was still discovered by the girl. She immediately became angry and said, "What are you laughing at? Was what I said funny?" "No, nothing. I just thought of something fun." Yi Shiwen waved his hand and said, "That's good. Humph." The girl snorted and rolled her eyes at Yi Shiwen. "The opponents you're going to face this time aren't weak. Let's not talk about the geniuses of my clan. Even that Dragon Island's Ao Sheba and Martial Great Master Qin Lai are young geniuses who have shown brilliantly on the mysterious world battlefield. It's really sad for you to face such opponents. However, it doesn't matter. It's fine as long as you don't die. I believe in you." The girl walked to Yi Shiwen's side and jumped up. She patted Yi Shiwen's head and said, Chapter 1769. Yi Shiwen was speechless as he looked at the girl. "Anyway, you should try your best to stir up trouble at this time. It's best if you can destroy this matter." The girl put her hands behind her back and acted like an adult. Yi Shiwen was speechless. "Is she all right?" Yi Shiwen paused and asked. "Of course, she's not all right. She's completely restricted from going out. Otherwise, they wouldn't have sent me here." The girl looked at Yi Shiwen speechlessly and said. It seemed as if she had nothing to say to Yi Shiwen's words. "All right, I won't say much. I can't stay here for long. Otherwise, I'll attract the attention of others. It won't be good if they target you at that time," the girl said. Yi Shiwen wanted to tell her that he had already been targeted. If Yi Shiwen hadn't understood before, then how could he not understand now? Perhaps he had already been targeted at the Space Channel. After all, how could a king-level expert, who had been arranged to guard the Space Channel, be such a reckless person? Yi Shiwen had clearly shown his invitation. However, he was still targeted. This was a problem. Moreover, those envoys from the ancient Phoenix realm who had come to the ancient Barrens continent were obviously targeting him. It wasn't a coincidence. Moreover, this young girl had been able to find him directly. Therefore, he could roughly guess that his existence wasn't a secret in the ancient Phoenix realm. At least, his existence wasn't a secret to those who were interested in it. It didn't matter whether it was a secret or not. Even so, his heart suddenly became vigilant. Originally, he had planned to sneak in quietly and wait for an opportunity to act. However, it seemed that he had been too naive back then. After Feng Ling returned, it was impossible for her to not mention his existence. With how much the Phoenix King valued Hua Menghan, it was impossible for her to ignore this matter. He was afraid that the people of the ancient Phoenix world were constantly targeting him. And this had a lot to do with Hua Menghan's persistent refusal to compromise. He even guessed that these people might have been looking for an excuse to eradicate him. Therefore, they had repeatedly attacked him. It was just that none of them succeeded. If this idea was true, then the situation of his trip to the ancient Phoenix world would be grim. He had originally thought that he wouldn't attract any attention by hiding in the dark. There were so many outstanding elites from various worlds present here. So, he wouldn't be considered as much. However, it seemed that things weren't as simple as he thought. Perhaps many people had been paying attention to his movements. Yi Shiwen became even more low-key after he thought that he might have become the target of other people's surveillance. He didn't even participate in the meetings between the outstanding heroes of various worlds. He closed his door and refused to meet any guests. He began to wholeheartedly wait for the opening of the Nirvana pool 3 days later. 3 days passed by in the blink of an eye. For the elites of the various worlds who were preoccupied with their own thoughts, it was just a blink of an eye. Everyone had gathered together, and the person sent by the ancient Phoenix world was the same female official from before. This female official looked even more dignified than she had been 3 days ago. Distinguished guests, our ancient Phoenix world's Nirvana pool is about to open today. The Nirvana pool is not a gentle place. It's extremely dangerous inside. Over the generations, many heroes of the ancient Phoenix realm have died tragically inside. I hope that everyone can understand this. At the same time, you only have 3 days. After 3 days, you will need to pay the price of half a dragon's vein for every additional day. Only then can you continue. Do you have any questions? The female official swept her gaze across the crowd before she asked in an indifferent tone. Everyone, the Nirvana pool of the ancient Phoenix realm is about to open today. All of you will have the opportunity to complete your Nirvana within the Nirvana pool. Then, she asked in an indifferent manner. Everyone suddenly went into an uproar. They had already anticipated that this matter wouldn't be so simple. However, they hadn't thought that there would be such a disastrous situation. That was because no one could guarantee that this matter wouldn't befall them. Therefore, some people started to hesitate. However, the price of half a dragon vein for 1 day had made the elites of the various worlds secretly speechless. Even though they were the elite existences in their respective worlds, having half a dragon vein was already considered a lot if one were to talk about their total wealth. Having a dragon vein was already considered to be a great fortune. However, half a dragon vein was required to soak in the Nirvana pool for 1 day. It couldn't be denied that it was a sky-high price. Even so, many of them were willing to give it a try. It was worth it to use half a dragon vein in exchange for an opportunity to make a breakthrough. Moreover, they still had 3 days of free time. Everyone made a ruckus for a while. Then they quieted down. However, no one withdrew in the end. The ancient Phoenix world's Nirvana pool. Just this name alone was enough to attract the attention of countless people. It had also attracted their attention, and they couldn't move their eyes away. Since no one wants to withdraw, all the distinguished guests, please follow me, the female official said after she swept her gaze over everyone. Then his figure disappeared thousands of miles away. Everyone quickly followed him. Everyone present was a person with profound cultivation. In just a moment, they had caught up with him. The 2 people in the forefront were none other than Ao Shiba and Qin Lai. Both of them seemed to be in a race. They didn't give way to each other. They simply didn't want to give in to each other. Soon, everyone arrived outside the imperial city. There was an incomparably huge mountain range that was thousands of miles away. The mountain range was covered with various kinds of enchantments. The entire mountain range was completely enclosed within it. Flowing lights flickered and formed a huge sealed world. After the female official opened the sealed barrier, the moment everyone entered, they immediately felt a terrifying flame covering the sky and covering the earth, as if it wanted to burn through the entire world. Many people were caught off guard. Their bodies were immediately set on fire. They were constantly screaming in pain. Many huge, ominous beasts were rolling on the ground. Even the world was trembling. Yi Shiwen's divinity rose automatically in an instant and surrounded him in it. This flame couldn't do anything to him at all. It couldn't even burn through his divinity. But even so, Yi Shiwen could still feel the heat of these flames through the divinity. It was very terrifying. The female official's gaze swept down and glanced at Yi Shiwen. Seeing that he had easily blocked the flames, there was a bit of surprise in her eyes. But it was only a bit of surprise and nothing more. She then said in a cold voice, "Nirvana Pond is inside. Please come with me." After saying that, the female official disappeared in the sea of fire. Although many people were in a sorry state at this time, there was no other way since things had come to this point. They could only rush in directly. These flames were extremely terrifying. They were the Nanmingli fire. Even some of the mutants that were born in flames and could devour flames, as if it was their daily routine, were howling from the heat, let alone the other mutants. They did not dare to use their physical bodies to resist the flames. They took out all kinds of ritual implements to protect themselves and then followed Yi Futian. Only Ao Shiba, Qin Lai, and Yi Shiwen could move freely in this kind of flames. Among them, Ao Shiba and Qin Lai relied on their profound martial power that was far beyond everyone else to resist the flames. Only Yi Shiwen walked in the Nanming mythical fire with his body as if he didn't care at all. This soon attracted everyone's attention. Although Yi Shiwen hadn't entered the mysterious realm like Ao Shiba and Qin Lai, many people still remembered his performance in their hearts and listed him as a dangerous target. However, Yi Shiwen didn't care anymore. He had thought it through in the past 3 days. He wanted to keep a low profile, but he was afraid that there would be people who wouldn't let him continue to keep a low profile. In that case, he might as well keep a high profile and simply fall in line with those people. The flames blazed in the sky, forming a world of flames. Everyone's heart started to beat like a drum. This place was already so frightening. Let alone the Nirvana Pond. This female official had said that a large number of outstanding individuals had died tragically in the ancient Phoenix realm over the past generations. Perhaps she wasn't just trying to scare them. However, since they had already come here, they naturally had no reason to give up. They gritted their teeth and followed. Puff, puff, puff. A vast and boundless magma pond appeared in front of everyone. It was at least thousands of miles in size. The magma constantly bubbled in this magma pond and transformed into a fire dragon in the void. It looked like the surface of the sea. The waves of magma were hundreds of meters high. It was exceptionally spectacular. Everyone's mouth and tongue were a little dry. They felt that even their eyebrows were burning. They felt as if all the water in their body was about to evaporate just by looking at it from afar. The temperature inside was probably very shocking. Everyone finally understood why they would suffer a heavy loss after completing the Nirvana Pond in such a place. Distinguished guests, I'll say for the last time, the Nirvana Pond is very dangerous. It's best not to go down if you can't ensure your safety, the female official said with an expressionless face. There wasn't the slightest expression on her fair and tender face. She seemed to be accustomed to the hundreds of meters high waves of magma under her feet. So, she didn't find it strange. What's there to say? I've long heard of the Nirvana Pond of the ancient Phoenix realm. Qin Lai laughed heartily. His entire body seemed to have turned into a burning man under the contrast of the hot air. He dived into the magma as he spoke. He was instantly submerged in the magma. Everyone couldn't sense his existence anymore. In such a scorching environment, even the divine sense would evaporate in an instant. Nothing would be left. Umph. Ao Shiba snorted coldly. He stepped out of a golden light and transformed into a golden dragon. Then, he rushed into the Nirvana Pond. Chapter 1770. After Ao Shiba also rushed in, everyone looked at each other. They weren't at the profound realm, so they couldn't be as carefree as the other two. Just by standing above the Nirvana pool, they already felt like their eyebrows were on fire. Even breathing felt like they were going to spit out fire. Everyone was sweating profusely, which evaporated in an instant. "You cowards!" Hai Wuya sneered. Above his head, an azure blue water droplet appeared, enveloping his entire body. The water vapor spread out to protect him. Even the sea of flames in the sky couldn't burn through him. Plop! After saying that, a huge collision sound was heard. Hai Wuya rushed down with the momentum of MT Tai. In an instant, the Nirvana pool set off a huge wave of lava that was thousands of meters high. At this time, the leaders of the various forces of the ancient desolate glanced at each other, then followed Hai Wuya and rushed down. They had already developed to the pinnacle, and this might be their only chance to break into the profound realm. With the current situation of the ancient desolate era, any profound realm expert would have an extraordinary meaning to their clan. Facing the pressure brought by the Abyss Devil Lord, not only was the human race in danger of extinction, but they also weren't any better off. If it wasn't for the fact that the devil race was mainly adjusting and focusing their attacks on the human race, they wouldn't have such a leisurely opportunity. They knew very well that the collision between the two sides could break out at any moment. It was already something that could not be avoided. In a short period of time, the only chance for them to break into the profound realm was this nirvana pool. However, when everyone was still hesitating, they saw a sharp claw directly grabbing out from the magma pool. On the spot, an expert of the ancient desolate realm was clawed to death. Then, in the magma, he was turned into a pile of charcoal. What's going on? Everyone looked at this scene in shock. Then, they looked at the female official, not knowing what was going on. Everyone, there's no need to panic. It's unknown how many heroes of our ancient Phoenix realm have perished in the Nirvana pool over the past generations. Their vengeful spirits can't be extinguished. Therefore, everyone must be extra careful. The female official says, as long as you can kill 10 vengeful spirits, you can stay in the Nirvana pool for one more day. If *CK, it turns out that they want us to die. No wonder such a good thing actually opened the Nirvana pool. The thunderous beast's angry roar shook the heavens and the earth, and the power of thunder and lightning spread out. That's right. Like I said, the Nirvana pool is a secret of the ancient Phoenix realm. Even within the ancient Phoenix realm, there are very few people who have the qualifications to enter it. Why would they suddenly open it to us? So it turns out that there's such a secret. That's right, this is basically asking us to die. One after another, the crowd aggressively denounced the female official with an agitated look on their faces. However, the female official's face was still expressionless. She spoke in a neither hurried nor slow manner. Distinguished guests, please don't be impatient. We've already warned you about the dangers inside. As for how you choose, it's up to you. We won't force you. I believe that everyone knows that there's no such thing as a free lunch in the sky. How can there be such a good thing? The female official was very frank. She didn't even have the intention to conceal anything. This Nirvana pool is a precious treasure of my race. However, not everyone can bear it. Many geniuses and heroes of my race have died tragically in it. Their original spirits haven't been extinguished and have turned into resentful spirits. Every time someone enters, these resentful spirits will come out and cause mischief. Now, the number of resentful spirits is quite large. In fact, there's no lack of mysterious realm resentful spirits among them. This female official didn't have any intention of concealing anything. Instead, everyone quieted down. After all, there was no such thing as a free lunch in this world. So, it was impossible for them to obtain such a good opportunity so easily. Moreover, the ancient Phoenix world wouldn't make such a losing deal. Yi Shiwen suddenly understood. It was no wonder that the ancient Phoenix world had acted out of the norm. They had opened the Nirvana pool to celebrate the prince's wedding. But perhaps it wasn't that simple. Heroes had died tragically in this place, and had turned into resentful spirits one after another. Then, the number of resentful spirits would have accumulated over a long period of time. And the people of the ancient Phoenix world wouldn't have the means to clean them up. Therefore, the elites of the various worlds had come here to help eradicate them. After all, even the tyrannical ancient Phoenix world couldn't casually grab a bunch of king-grade experts. Moreover, it wouldn't be easy to train them. So, it wouldn't be worthwhile to bury them here. On the contrary, the elites of various worlds could use their hands to eradicate these resentful spirits if the Nirvana pool was open to them. And the ancient Phoenix world wouldn't be involved even if there were casualties. Moreover, they could also use this opportunity to weaken the strength of the various worlds. It could be said to be killing two birds with one stone. Yishuan finally understood after thinking this. It was no wonder that this matter had been filled with a strange feeling from the beginning to the end. Everyone looked at each other in dismay. They didn't know what to do. It would be dangerous if they went down. However, They weren't willing to do so. The female official stood calmly on the side. She didn't care about everyone's choice. It seemed as if it didn't matter to her no matter what choice they made. Her gaze swept over everyone and fell on Yi Shiwen's body. It seemed as if she was waiting to see what choice Yi Shiwen would make. A meaningful smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. Yi Shiwen pondered for a moment and made a decision on the spot. This might be the only opportunity for the heroes of the ancient desolation to enter the mysterious realm in their lifetime. Therefore, they had no choice but to go all out. He didn't have any other choice. This was the only hope for him to enter the mysterious realm in a short time. The prince's wedding would take place soon, and the Heavenly Phoenix Maiden's marriage contest would be held after the wedding. Then, the selection of a son-in-law would take place. Whether it was from the information he had obtained before or from his own judgment, Yi Shiwen was afraid that his real opponents would be powerhouses who had already entered the mysterious realm. He was merely a king, great expert. So, it was absolutely impossible for him to defeat a mysterious realm expert. Only by entering the mysterious realm would he have the opportunity to go all out. He had no other choice. There was no other way out. Compared to going all out in the marriage contest, this was much better than forcibly breaking into the imperial city and taking Hua Minghan away. That would simply be a dead end. There was no other possibility. Thinking of this, Yi Shiwen didn't hesitate. He didn't even put up any protection and directly stepped into the magma. As soon as he stepped into the magma, he suddenly felt an amazing heat crazily burning his body. Countless cells died in an instant, but at this time, the Phoenix regeneration technique in his body directly operated and continued to repair his body. The terrible pain made Yi Shiwen's expression directly distorted. This magma was much more dangerous than he had imagined. If it were someone else, perhaps they would have been burnt into charcoal in an instant, and all the water in their body would have completely evaporated. Of course, apart from him, it was estimated that no one else would rush into the magma without any protection. Even Ao Shiba of the Dragon Clan, who was known for his physical strength, rushed into the magma with a protective golden light. Otherwise, it would not be nirvana, but a real death wish. Yi Shiwen continued to endure this crazy flame burning his body. Ever since he had successfully cultivated the tyrant body, there were very few people who could hurt him. Not to mention, he was being burned to this state. Nirvana Pond was really extraordinary. If it were an ordinary person, even if he had the tyrant body, he would have died. Only Yi Shiwen had the Phoenix regeneration technique. Not only did he not succumb in this environment, but on the contrary, the Phoenix regeneration technique became even more active, like a dragon swimming in the sea. After Yi Shiwen entered the magma, he entrenched himself in the magma and felt it. Soon, he found that this magma was not the same as ordinary magma. This was a flow of energy, endless power of death, constantly rampaging in it, tearing everything that could be seen. The power of death mixed with the energy of the flame formed this magma. It seemed ordinary, but in fact, it was extremely terrifying. It might be very difficult for ordinary people to feel it, but for Yi Shiwen, who had the yin-yang life and death diagram, whether it was the power of life or the power of death, it could be said to be not unfamiliar, so he could feel it very quickly. The power of yin-yang, life and death, was one of the supreme rules between heaven and earth. No one could avoid this rule. It could only be understood but not expressed. Hence, the so-called mysterious realm, in other words, could only rely on one's own understanding. An ordinary person would have been at a loss in the face of the scorching power of death. However, Yi Shiwen had already learned the true secret of the mysterious realm from the great firmament seal's tool spirit. The first great realm of the mysterious realm was the power of life. The power of life, the power that all life had. At this time, Yi Shiwen finally understood why it was said that the Nirvana Pond could greatly increase the probability of truly comprehending the mysterious life realm. The real key to breaking into the mysterious life realm was to comprehend the power of life and the law of life. But in this world, whether it was life or death, it was a relative concept. Without life, there would be no death. Without death, there would be no life. Only when life and death were relative would they appear so clear and leave such a deep impression. Only in this place that was filled with the power of death would he be able to truly comprehend the power of life in the shortest time possible. Only by truly comprehending the power of life could he be considered to have truly reached nirvana. Whoosh! Suddenly, a loud whistling sound rang out, and a sharp claw directly grabbed over from the endless magma. Chapter 1771. Walala! A sharp claw directly penetrated through the magma, tearing everything apart and grabbing towards Yi Shiwen. It was as if it wanted to crush Yi Shiwen in an instant. Its speed was extremely fast, and it had already made its move in an instant. In the magma, Yi Shiwen's movements were greatly restricted. Moreover, this magma was not ordinary magma, but it was condensed from the endless power of death and flames. Only at the end of the power of death would the power of life linger, and at the end of the power of life would be the power of death. But even so, Yi Shiwen still reacted quickly. Bang! His hands formed a cross in front of his body to protect himself, and the sharp claw directly grabbed his arm. A huge roar was heard, just like the terrible collision sound of gold and iron. The void was violently distorted, and countless magma was directly crushed. Yi Shiwen's movements in the magma were not as agile as they were outside, and he was directly grabbed and sent flying. He was secretly shocked. What great strength! And at this time, a huge monster directly broke free from the magma and rushed towards Yi Shiwen. Yi Shiwen looked over and saw a huge phoenix. Its entire body was gloomy, and it was exuding a dense, deathly energy. It was a dead spirit composed entirely of resentful spirits. It opened its scarlet eyes and rushed over to kill him. The body of this phoenix of the dead was extremely flexible in the magma, and it instantly rushed over again. It was like a needle in a needle, and it quickly swept over. Bang! Yi Shiwen directly shot out his palm, and the phoenix of the dead was blasted away, but he himself was also blasted away by the counterforce. His skin continued to be charred layer by layer, and then fell off again, and was healed by the phoenix regeneration technique. Yi Shiwen began to feel bad. If this continued, then it would be really over. He found that in this case, the erosion of the power of death had far exceeded the recovery speed of his phoenix regeneration technique. At this speed, he was afraid that he would not even be able to stay for 3 days. No wonder those people of the ancient phoenix domain were so kind to open the magma for 3 days. It was said to be 3 days, but in fact, only a few people could persist for 3 days. Not to mention that half of the dragon vein would be consumed after 1 day. For an ordinary person, it was impossible for them to hold on for 3 days. Even he himself was not confident. As time passed, the erosion of the death energy would become more and more serious. If he could not comprehend the life energy in time, he would not be able to continue staying in the nirvana pool. Clang! The angelic sword in his hand swung wildly, and a shocking sword aura swept across the sky, directly slashing down on the undead phoenix on the spot. Poochies! This undead phoenix was split into 2 halves on the spot. Gradually, this undead phoenix began to condense under the replenishment of the death power of the magma. How could I let you recover? Yi Shiwen shouted loudly, and the sword light splashed out. It instantly turned into a waterfall and directly chopped down. Boom! The undead phoenix, which had already been chopped into pieces, exploded into pieces. Yi Shiwen then grabbed the death energy that filled the sky. After he crushed it on the spot, this strange death energy flowed along his wrist and instantly invaded Yi Shiwen's body. Yi Shiwen was shocked. He looked again and saw that this death energy was absorbed by the yin-yang life and death diagram in his body. After absorbing this death energy, the death energy in the yin-yang life and death diagram began to slowly strengthen. This made Yi Shiwen slightly startled. Suddenly, he realized that he could not use the yin-yang life and death diagram now. The reason was that the life and death energy in the yin-yang life and death diagram was completely out of balance. The life energy was far stronger than the death energy. There was no way to use it. On the contrary, he had to constantly suppress the yin-yang life and death diagram. However, if he could balance the life and death energy in the yin-yang life and death diagram, he could immediately form an extremely powerful celestial tool. Even if he didn't have to find the fragment of the yin-yang life and death diagram in the hands of the Abyss Devil Lord, he could directly condense a very powerful celestial tool. It could directly surpass a supreme tool. He had thought of this before. However, it was merely a thought. How could the life and death energy within the yin-yang life and death diagram be so easy to find? In fact, it might be impossible to find it without special circumstances. However, he had never imagined that he would discover the death energy within the ancient Phoenix realm. To him, this was definitely good news. Moreover, after the life and death energy in the yin-yang life and death diagram was balanced, it would be much easier for him to comprehend the life and death energy. Under the balance of the death energy, the life energy would not be so violent. This would make it easier for him to comprehend it. In this way, the probability of him entering the mysterious realm would greatly increase. When he thought of this, he immediately became excited. It wasn't easy to absorb the death energy in the magma. This was because the magma contained countless flame energy. If he absorbed all the death energy, he would be burnt to a crisp on the spot. On the contrary, if he absorbed the death energy from the vengeful spirits and the dead spirits, there wouldn't be such risks and side effects. Moreover, the most important thing was that if he wanted to cultivate in the Nirvana pool, he would be able to cultivate in the Nirvana pool for one more day for every 10 vengeful spirits he killed. It could be said to be killing many birds with one stone. At the thought of this, he no longer hesitated and immediately began to shuttle through the magma that was condensed from the power of death. Every minute and every second, their bodies would be burnt to a crisp and then instantly restored to their original state. He was enduring extreme pain. In order to enter the profound realm, he couldn't care less about that. With the enlightening mind ancient tree, his mind was in the calmest state, and his mind wouldn't be distorted by the pain. His figure shuttled through the flames and the magma. Countless flames and magma were trying to tear off a layer of his outer skin. Then, he instantly restored it. However, the erosion of the death energy was getting more and more intense. Therefore, the speed of his recovery was getting slower and slower. In fact, his body couldn't keep up with the speed of destruction. He had to balance the life energy and death energy in order to complete nirvana in the nirvana pool. It was no wonder that the people who couldn't complete nirvana in the nirvana pool were only a minority. Even for someone like him who had died once and had come back to life, it was still very difficult to complete the nirvana pool. Many people had died in the nirvana pool. It was unknown how many vengeful spirits were living in it. Therefore, the ancient Phoenix realm had no choice but to use their hands to eradicate these vengeful spirits. Yishuan didn't dare to go to the depths of the magma pool. He could even feel that there were tyrannical creatures with dreadful auras lurking in the depths of the magma pool. There were far more than just king stage experts who had been killed in there. Even profound realm experts had died tragically in there. However, Yishuan didn't need to go deep into the magma pool. He had already encountered the experts of the Phoenix clan who had been eroded by the death energy and had turned into dead spirits. Fortunately, these dead spirits were merely dead spirits condensed from resentment. Otherwise, Yishuan would have had no choice but to turn around and run away if he had encountered so many dead spirits one after another. Bang! 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 Terrifying collision sounds spread from the magma pool. Huge waves would form on the surface of the nirvana pool with the height of thousands of meters every time a fierce collision occurred. They would then hit the surface of the nirvana pool. Such waves would rise and fall in succession. Many bubbles would also start to stir up. It symbolized the intense battle that was taking place below. These people weren't ordinary. Every single one of them was an outstanding expert of the King Division. Every single one of them had their own secret arts. Therefore, it was possible for them to tangle with those dead spirits in the Nirvana Pond. In fact, even the ancient Phoenix realm couldn't bring out so many top-notch experts of the King Division in one go. Many people had killed the dead spirits in the midst of this fierce battle. However, some people had also been killed by the dead spirits. They had been burnt to ashes by the magma pool. Their ashes had reached the surface of the magma pool. However, they had soon evaporated and hadn't left anything behind. These people weren't members of the Phoenix clan. Therefore, they didn't even have the opportunity to turn into dead spirits. The female official stood in the void. Her face was expressionless. She had an ice-cold look on her face. She didn't have the slightest change in her expression as she saw those huge and petite ashes floating up. In the end, everyone couldn't resist the temptation of stepping into the mysterious realm. So, they rushed down one after another. However, how could it be so easy to step into the mysterious realm? Many people had lost their lives, but still couldn't step into the mysterious realm. The female official seemed to have some kind of magic weapon on her body. She could clearly see everything that was happening under the Nirvana pool. She couldn't help but sneer when she saw some people overestimating their own capabilities and trying to enter the depths of the Nirvana pool. These people didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. There was no such thing as a free lunch in this world. They wouldn't have considered opening the Nirvana pool if they hadn't taken into account the possibility that the experts of the Phoenix clan would turn into resentful spirits once they died in the Nirvana pool. However, even if the Nirvana pool was opened, it was up to them whether they had the ability to complete the Nirvana process or not. However, her eyes quickly locked onto Yi Shiwen's body. She found that Yi Shiwen's speed was extremely fast. He had blown up a Phoenix of the Dead in just 2 or 3 moves. It was very difficult for an ordinary person to kill a Phoenix of the Dead, even if they could defeat it. That was because the power of death was everywhere in this place. So, the Phoenix of the Dead could recover at the fastest speed. Therefore, many people had been killed by the Phoenix of the Dead because of this. However, Yi Shiwen didn't seem to care about all of this. He had blown up the Phoenix of the Dead in 2 or 3 moves. Then, he had absorbed the power of death into his body. This had left the Phoenix of the Dead unable to fight back. Interesting. Yi Shiwen. Chapter 1772. Bang! Yi Shiwen grabbed the body of a Phoenix of Death and exploded it. Then he refined the dead spirit energy in an instant. The dead spirit chi was refined by the yin-yang life and death diagram in his body. At this time, a full day had passed. The dead spirit chi had penetrated into his flesh and blood from the surface of his skin. The speed was getting faster and faster. His face was covered with a black dead spirit chi. In this day, he had killed more than 30 undead phoenixes. It could be said that his speed was very fast. As the dead spirit chi was refined more and more, the power of life and death in the yin-yang life and death diagram gradually balanced out. However, the power of death in the magma had begun to penetrate into his flesh and blood. If this continued, sooner or later, it would penetrate into his bone marrow. At that time, the situation would only become more and more serious. In just one day, the heroes from various worlds who had originally entered had been eliminated. Some couldn't bear it and escaped. Some directly turned into a lump of charcoal and floated to the surface of the magma. In just one day, more than half of the people were eliminated. Most of the people in the ancient barrens had also been eliminated. They couldn't persist at all, even though they had tried their best. Yi Shiwen didn't care about the changes outside. In his eyes, there was only the endless power of death in the magma. He wanted to absorb, 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 and absorb again until the power of life and the power of death in the yin-yang life and death diagram could balance each other. He didn't have much time. As time passed, the erosion of the power of death in his body was getting more and more serious. He couldn't last forever. In his body, the yin-yang life and death diagram was taking shape bit by bit. It was originally just an incomplete diagram, but with the supplement of the power of death, it had faintly formed a small, complete diagram. Although its power couldn't be compared to the complete yin-yang life and death diagram, the truth of the power of life and death contained in it wasn't inferior at all. Time passed minute by minute, second by second, day by day. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Tens of thousands of meters above the Nirvana pond, Hundreds of figures were sitting in the void in twos and threes. Some were talking, and some were sitting in the void, constantly expelling the invading power of death in their bodies. If they couldn't expel the power of death in time, it was likely to become a huge hidden danger in the future. Thinking of this, they had to be careful. Some people didn't gain anything from this trip. They didn't make any progress at all. However, there were also people who were happy. Clearly, they had gained a lot, and it was very likely that they would be able to break through in the future. However, everyone rejoiced in their hearts. No matter what, they were much luckier than those who died in the magma. These were all top-notch experts of the king tier in their respective worlds. In their respective worlds, they were already people of high status and authority. It would definitely be a pity for them to die here. However, they did not leave. They were waiting quietly because there were still a few people who had yet to come out from the magma of the Nirvana pool. For people, the names of these 4 people were also firmly engraved in their hearts. Qin Lai, Ao Shiba, Haiwia, Yi Shiwen. In an instant, the names of these 4 people were firmly engraved in the hearts of the elites of the various worlds. They were deeply aware of how dangerous the Nirvana pool was. As experts of the king tier, there were few who could match up to them in the world. Even so, this Nirvana pool could be said to be a heavy loss. In just these 3 days, there were actually hundreds of experts who had fallen in it. These weren't carrots on the side of the road. There would be another wave of experts of the king tier. Even if there were 10 experts of the celestial realm, there might not be one of them. Moreover, these people were the elites of the king tier. The terror of the Nirvana pool was indeed worthy of being a legendary existence. Most people couldn't hold on the first day. On the second day, there were only a few who could hold on until the third day. Only a few people could hold on until the third day. Only those who had escaped from the Xian world battlefield in one piece could hold on until the third day. Now, it was already the 4th day, and they were still inside. There were no signs of them coming out. They were secretly shocked. They didn't know how strong this cultivation was. They had all entered the Nirvana pool, so they were naturally very clear that the corrosion of the power of death in the Nirvana pool was unavoidable. No matter what method they used, they could only use their profound cultivation to resist. In other words, the more profound one's cultivation was, the longer one could resist. And the cultivation of these 4 people was clearly far above everyone else. Forget about Ao Shiba and Qin Lai. As experts of the Xian realm, their cultivation was naturally more than 10 times stronger than everyone else. But Haiwia and Yi Shiwen could actually hold on until now. How did they do it? Very quickly, the information of these 2 people spread out from the mouths of the people of the ancient desolation and began to be imprinted in the hearts of many experts. The son of the sea god, Haiwia, the disciple of a king-tier expert, Yi Shiwen, and it just so happened that these 2 people came from the ancient Barons continent. This place used to be the ancient demon realm. Many people were secretly shocked. If it was only one person, it wouldn't be a big deal. But among the king-tier experts, only 2 people could hold on until now, and both of them came from the ancient desolation. It was clear that the ancient desolation was far from as simple as everyone thought. As the ancient demon realm used to shake the world in ancient times, there were probably many existences that people didn't understand. From the mouths of the people of the ancient desolation, everyone learned that Haiwia was a genuine son of the sea god. This was incredible. In the universe, gods were the noblest existences. Just like the lightning beast, it only had the bloodline of an ancient desolation beast. In terms of nobility, how could it compare to the son of the sea god? And Yi Shiwen was even more extraordinary. He was actually the disciple of an existing king-tier expert. A king-tier expert was an existence that could kill gods, and was almost equivalent to a god. Intentionally or unintentionally, the people of the ancient desolation didn't want others to look down on the ancient desolation. Although the ancient desolation hadn't interacted with the outside world for a long time, the internal strife between the major races took up too much of their energy. In addition, the demon race was close at hand, which took up too much of their energy, causing them to gradually disappear from the various worlds. Therefore, they brought out the name of a king-tier expert to shock everyone. Even if it was a human king-tier expert, at this time, it seemed that they couldn't get away from it. As expected, when everyone heard that there was a king-tier expert in the ancient desolation, they were immediately filled with respect. Fear grew in their hearts, and they didn't dare to treat the ancient desolation as a desolate land anymore. The world that used to dominate the universe in ancient times was indeed extraordinary. Moreover, regardless of whether it was the human race, sea race, or demon race, they were all races that had a wide range of branches in various worlds. Even in other worlds, there were experts from these races. One after another, they came forward and tried to worm their way into the ancient desolation, as if they wanted to know more about this terrifying king-tier expert. As for the people of the ancient desolation, they weren't stingy either. They exaggerated how terrifying King Tai's song was. When everyone found out that he was an existence that was only half a step away from becoming an emperor, the ambition in their hearts was immediately extinguished. An existence that was half a step away from becoming an emperor was definitely not someone they could provoke. Even if they used up all the power of the world, they would still be beaten to a pulp. A king-tier expert could ensure the prosperity of a race. If there wasn't a king-tier expert, then the race wouldn't have the qualifications to rule over a region. Once an emperor-level powerhouse appeared, it would be far more than just ruling over a region. It would be more accurate to say that they would be able to rule over a world. Unless there was another emperor-level powerhouse at the same time, they would be invincible. For example, the major races that dominated the universe now, such as the human race, demon race, etc., all of them had more than one emperor-tier expert. In ancient times, there were even many battles between demon emperors, demon kings, and human emperors. Blood splattered across the sky. In such battles, even emperor-tier experts would fall. However, that was all in ancient times. Nowadays, it was rare to even see a king-tier expert, not to mention a legendary emperor-tier expert. Even an existence that was only half a step away from becoming an emperor-tier expert would be invincible in the current world, and no one would be able to stop them. Even they would tremble in fear when facing such an existence. There's actually such a senior in our human race. We should go on a pilgrimage and worship him. Yeah, it's rare to hear of a senior at the king-tier expert in our human race. Let's go. Let's go together. Compared to the mixed feelings of the people from the other races, the thoughts of the people from the human race were much simpler. They had only heard that there was actually a king-ranked powerhouse among their own race. Even with their pride, they would still worship such an existence. No one felt that there was anything wrong with that. A king-tier expert was no different from a god. Unless it was someone at the same level, no one would dare to disrespect them. Everyone from the ancient desolation had mixed feelings in their hearts as well. Initially, they had been clamoring for the destruction of the human race. But now, they had to rely on Emperor Taizong of the human race to regain their dignity. Life was truly unpredictable. No one knew what would happen in the next second. Everyone was shocked. Boom! Just as everyone was immersed in their own thoughts, a loud explosion erupted from within the Nirvana pool. An azure figure immediately leapt out from within. Everyone looked at him. Who else could it be but Hai Wuya? Hai Wuya came out of the Nirvana pool and glanced at everyone. When he saw that Yi Shiwen was not among them, his face fell. Chapter 1773. If Yi Shiwen was not there, then there were only two possibilities. One was that Yi Shiwen had died in the Nirvana pool, and the other was that he was still in there and had not come out. He regarded Yi Shiwen as a formidable enemy. In fact, it could even be said that Yi Shiwen was a formidable opponent, especially after the news that Yi Shiwen had killed 7 king-ranked experts by himself had spread throughout the entire barren land. Many busybodies even called him the strongest king division expert. This title was recognized by many people even among the Sea Clan, Demon Clan, and Hunter Clan alliance. It had even become a synonym for Yi Shiwen. How could someone as proud as Hai Wuya accept this? Although he believed that his strength was not inferior to Yi Shiwen's, and even more tyrannical than Yi Shiwen's, he did not have any notable achievements, and being an assistant was not convincing. Compared to Yi Shiwen's brilliant record of wiping out 3 major clans in one night, including 2 royal clans, and then consecutively killing 7 king rank experts, Hai Wuya, who had just made his debut in the Myriad Clans convention, naturally couldn't be compared with Yi Shiwen. In the eyes of the crowd, they were not on the same level at all. He was just a very strong king rank expert, while Yi Shiwen was the strongest king rank expert. The disparity between the two sides was already clear at a glance. He had always wanted to fight with Yi Shiwen to prove that his strength was far superior to Yi Shiwen's, but he could not find this opportunity. Even if he believed that his strength was far superior to Yi Shiwen's, he had never underestimated Yi Shiwen. Naturally, he wouldn't think that he would be able to survive, while Yi Shiwen would be buried in the Nirvana Pond. If that was the case, it would prove that he had overestimated his opponent. He believed that his judgment wouldn't be wrong. Yi Shiwen was a formidable and difficult opponent. He wouldn't die so easily. So, there was only one possibility, and that was that he was still in the Nirvana pool and hadn't come out yet. Thinking of this, his mood suddenly became bad. He was very clear about how terrifying the Nirvana pool was. These 3 days and 3 nights could be said to be the most dangerous time he had ever experienced in his life. Ever since he had started his cultivation journey, everything had been smooth sailing. Everything had been laid out for him. Coupled with his unparalleled talent, he had easily completed the cultivation that an ordinary person would not be able to complete in 100 years. What he had experienced in the Nirvana pool was the best he had ever experienced in his life. Even if he had the precious treasure of Sea God, he couldn't completely eliminate the power of death. He could only rely on his profound martial power to forcibly resist it. Even he couldn't resist it at this time. So, what was Yi Shiwen relying on? What did Yi Shiwen rely on? What did he rely on to be above him? Thinking of this, his mood suddenly became terrible. Sure enough, he soon learned from others that apart from Ao Shiba and Qin Lai, Yi Shiwen was the only one still inside. After knowing this, his complexion became even more unsightly. He regarded Yi Shiwen as a formidable enemy. He must get rid of Yi Shiwen in the future. And Ao Shiba had humiliated him too much. He even wanted to use him as a chariot puller. This was simply too much. If it was Ao Shiba and Qin Lai, it would be fine. Although Ao Shiba had gone too far, he was already a profound realm expert after all. It was normal for him to last longer than him. But what about Yi Shiwen? His eyes stared at the Nirvana pool while constantly operating the Azure Bead to expel the power of death from his body. He had been staring at the surface of the Nirvana pool, hoping that Yi Shiwen would directly break out in the next second. But obviously, the Nirvana pool did not do as he wished. Although there were continuous 1,000-meter waves, there was no sign of anyone jumping out. Under such circumstances, time passed day by day. Another 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. At this moment, a loud roar was heard and a figure appeared. Everyone's spirits were lifted as they hurriedly looked at the figure. Ao Shiba. It's actually Ao Shiba. How is this possible? I thought the next one to come out would be Yi Shiwen. How can it be Ao Shiba? This is impossible. How can Ao Shiba, as a top expert among the profound realm experts, be inferior to Yi Shiwen, who is a king rank expert? This is impossible. This is impossible. Could it be that Yi Shiwen has already died in there, but we just don't know about it? Impossible. If he is already dead, the female official will definitely say something. But she has never said anything. Obviously, Yi Shiwen is still in there, and he is still alive. Oh my God, what kind of monster is he? He can actually hold out longer than a profound realm expert. Ao Shiba walked in the void with great vigor and vigor. Obviously, he had obtained great benefits because of this. His temperament had greatly improved before he went in, and he was not far from breaking through to the next realm. At this time, he was naturally very proud of himself. But at this time, he glanced at the crowd and was suddenly stunned, just like Hai Wuya before, because he did not find Qin Lai, which meant that Qin Lai had held out longer than him. His face suddenly became a little ugly, and he snorted coldly. But when his eyes swept over Hai Wuya, he was keenly aware of the hatred in Hai Wuya's heart. Suddenly, a dragon claw directly appeared in the void and directly slapped Hai Wuya on the spot. Who do you think you are? How dare you be dissatisfied with me? Bang! Hai Wuya was directly slapped, and he was sent flying on the spot. His handsome face was directly slapped, and half of his teeth were directly broken. Everyone was stunned. No one thought that Ao Shiba would dare to fight in this place. No one thought that he would fight in this place, and they seemed to be dumbfounded as they looked at Ao Shiba in a daze. What is arrogance? This is arrogance. The female official immediately reacted, and a powerful aura was released, suppressing Ao Shiba. However, Ao Shiba did not have the intention to continue to fight. He just snorted coldly, and then looked at the female official indifferently. 18th Prince, you're putting us in a difficult position. You're our honored guest. However, Hai Wuya is also our honored guest. We won't allow you to do anything that would damage the reputation of our ancient Phoenix realm, the female official said with an ice-cold expression. Her eyes were flickering with cold light. She did not really care about Ao Shiba, and she did not even care about him. So what? Who does he think he is? Is he even worthy of being compared with me? He actually dared to harbor hatred towards me. This in itself is an unpardonable crime. If something happens to me, can your ancient Phoenix realm take responsibility? It is precisely because of your face that I did not directly kill him. Otherwise, if I wanted to kill him, it would be as easy as flipping my palm. Ao Shiba said in an arrogant and unruly manner. He was backed by the formidable Dragon Island. That was a dreadful force that was famous throughout the heavens. Even the ancient Phoenix realm was not willing to offend the Dragon Island. I don't wish for such a thing to happen again. Otherwise, don't blame us for expelling you, the female official said in a cold voice. Her warning was very strong. Our ancient Phoenix realm is not willing to offend the Dragon Island. However, it is not a place where anyone can act presumptuously. You've gone too far. You've gone too far. Hai Wuya, who had been sent flying, gritted his teeth as he steadied himself in the air. If it was said that he had been humiliated before, then this was a blatant slap to the face, a stomp to the face. He was the dignified sea god's son. He was an invincible existence in the ancient times. Even those old antiques and great ominous beings wouldn't make things difficult for him for the sake of the force behind him. Even Yi Shiwen, whom he regarded as his archenemy, wouldn't dare to humiliate him like this. However, Ao Shiba had done so. It was as if he was teaching a disobedient dog a lesson. He would slap Ao Shiba whenever he was unhappy. Ao Shiba's status was noble. He was the son of the Dragon Island's Dragon King. He was a top-notch genius of the younger generation. However, was he inferior to him? The sea god's son was incomparably noble. He wasn't inferior to him in any way. However, he had been humiliated like this. However, he forcefully swallowed the blood that was about to spurt out. He knew that this wasn't the time to settle accounts. This wasn't the ancient times. He didn't have a powerful force to rely on. If he had been in the ancient times, he would have asked his backer to come out and kill Ao Shiba, even if he had to face the wrath of the Dragon Island. His pride couldn't be humiliated so easily. However, he also knew that it was impossible for him to take revenge now. Within the same realm, as long as the opponent was a king, he was confident that he could defeat Yi Shiwen, who was known as the strongest king. He was the strongest. However, in the face of a profound life realm expert who was completely above him, he knew the gap between them no matter how arrogant he was. Moreover, Ao Shiba was probably a top-notch expert in the profound life realm. If he wanted to take revenge, he could only swallow his anger. Wait until I break through to the profound life realm. I will definitely return the humiliation I suffered today. I will cut you into pieces. He gritted his teeth as he thought. Ao Shiba seemed to have sensed the resentment in his heart. However, he merely glanced at it and didn't care at all. He just kept sneering and didn't care about Ao Shiba's threat. Boom! While everyone was still in shock, they saw a huge commotion in the Nirvana pool. Another golden figure stepped on the waves. Everyone looked and saw that it was Qin Lai. It's not Yi Shiwen again. How is this possible? Yi Shiwen is actually so strong. Impossible. He must have some secret technique. Chapter 1774. Many people were shocked because they found that the third one to come out was not the last one. In other words, Yi Shiwen was the last one to come out. Even Ao, Shiba, and Qin Lai, the two profound realm experts, couldn't do it. How could a mere Yi Shiwen do it? This made many people unable to understand. However, they naturally didn't think that Yi Shiwen would be more tyrannical than the two profound realm experts. That was simply impossible. However, they also understood that everyone had a trump card that others didn't know about. Therefore, it wasn't impossible for Yi Shiwen to survive in this kind of environment far longer than the profound realm experts. However, this didn't mean that Yi Shiwen was more tyrannical than the profound realm experts. However, even so, it was enough to leave a very deep impression in everyone's hearts. What's wrong? Everyone has this kind of expression. Don't you welcome me? Qin Lai laughed and looked at everyone. Everyone looked at each other and didn't know what to say. However, Qin Lai soon understood why everyone was so surprised. The reason was very simple. It was because of that human of the same race, Yi Shiwen. If it could be said that before this, Yi Shiwen could only be regarded as inconspicuous. Then after he had surpassed the masters of profound realm and stood tall until the last moment, all of a sudden, everyone remembered his name. Yi Shiwen's name was destined to resound throughout the heavens. Yi Shiwen? It's quite interesting. Qin Lai laughed heartily. Like everyone else, Qin Lai also began to fix his eyes on the surface of the Nirvana pond. He wanted to see Yi Shiwen emerge from the water. They didn't have the ability of the female official to see through the surface of the Nirvana pond. However, they wouldn't give up so easily. Many people hadn't even seen Yi Shiwen before. Or it could be said that they didn't care about Yi Shiwen at all. Everyone's eyes were on the Thunder Behemoth, Hai Wuya, and the others. Moreover, there were two profound realm experts. Among these people, Yi Shiwen was really too inconspicuous. Except for the people in ancient times who knew of his ability, people in other worlds simply didn't know anything about him. They didn't want to miss such a good opportunity. They had a hunch that they had to remember this name. However, time passed day by day while everyone was waiting. Many people had been waiting day by day, but they hadn't been able to see Yi Shiwen whom they were looking forward to seeing. At this time, many people finally believed that Yi Shiwen indeed had some means to resist the power of death. Otherwise, even a profound realm expert wouldn't be able to hold on for a long time just by relying on his martial power. Many experts of the ancient Phoenix world outside the Nirvana pond had been startled by Yi Shiwen after 3 days. A messenger came in from the outside and came to the front of the female official. He respectfully said, "Your Excellency, the prince's wedding ceremony has begun. My king has decreed that you should bring these distinguished guests over." Bring them over. That female officer just glanced at that person and then said expressionlessly, "What about this person?" The news of someone being able to stay in the Nirvana pond for such a long time had already spread to the higher-ups of the ancient Phoenix world. Many people had begun to know about Yi Shiwen's existence. He had also become the focus of many people's attention. Let this person continue to stay here. Anyway, he is still killing the undead Phoenix. Generally speaking, he isn't violating the rules. Let's see how far he can go. That female official indifferently said, "Your Excellency is right." The messenger didn't say much after seeing the female official say so. He led the others and walked out of the Nirvana pond. Everyone was reluctant to see Yi Shiwen come out with their own eyes. However, the main purpose of their trip was the wedding ceremony. They weren't just the heaven's pride of the younger generation. They were also the representatives of the major forces. They had come here bearing the mission of their respective clans or forces. So, they couldn't miss such a wedding just because of their personal preferences. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to explain themselves when they returned. Soon, even Ao, Shiba, and Qin Lai also left. Only that female official was left in the Nirvana pond. She just looked at the Nirvana pond expressionlessly. It seemed as if she was paying attention to when Yi Shiwen would come out. However, she soon frowned. She clearly saw Yi Shiwen's current condition. It was clearly frighteningly bleak. Yi Shiwen's entire body had been completely eroded by the power of death. Not a trace of vitality could be seen from his entire body. Only death energy could be seen surrounding his entire body. This kind of power of death was not so much a kind of energy. It was better to say that it was a kind of rule. It was simply unavoidable. Even the experts of the mysterious realm wouldn't be able to survive here. This was already imaginable. In any case, Yi Shiwen was merely in the realm of the King Grade. There was still some distance between him and the mysterious realm. At this time, his entire body had become skinny. His skin had turned completely black. It seemed as if he would die at any time. Not good. He has been deeply eroded by the power of death. Even if he comes out now, it will be too late, that female official secretly said. Yi Shiwen was afraid that no matter what kind of means he had, he would be killed in this situation. However, just when the female official was about to take action, suddenly, in the void, a powerful tribulation cloud began to condense. The pitch-black clouds began to appear above the boundary of the Nirvana pond in an instant. This is the tribulation cloud of crossing the tribulation? That female official immediately reacted. If this wasn't the tribulation cloud of crossing the tribulation, what was it? It was just that the person in the Nirvana pond now, apart from herself, was Yi Shiwen, who seemed to be dying at any time. He was very clear about his own situation. This meant that the person who was crossing the tribulation was only Yi Shiwen. She immediately understood. Although this kind of situation was rare in the past, it wasn't non-existent. The Nirvana pond could promote people's understanding of the power of death. Even if ordinary people gained something, they would have to leave the Nirvana pond to meditate in order to make a breakthrough. However, there were also some people who, under various special circumstances, would directly advance to a higher realm in the Nirvana pond. Yi Shiwen's situation was undoubtedly the latter. The female official's reaction was very fast. She immediately pinched a hand sign and opened the boundary of the sky. Then, an inexplicable smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. Yi Shiwen, the heavenly tribulation is coming at you fiercely. I don't know if you can withstand it. However, don't think of using the boundary of the Nirvana pond to help you block the heavenly tribulation. If it was a disciple of the ancient Phoenix Realm's Phoenix clan, she would not hesitate to initiate the heavenly tribulation and reduce most of the power of the heavenly tribulation for him, so that he could pass the heavenly tribulation more easily. However, it was different when it was Yi Shiwen. She didn't need to help Yi Shiwen at all. Soon, the heavenly tribulation directly struck down. Crash! 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 Countless electric dragons descended from the sky and directly struck into the Nirvana pond. They immediately sensed the existence of those undead phoenixes. These extremely fierce and destructive energies were wreaking havoc in the Nirvana pond. These undead phoenixes were originally the most difficult existence to deal with for ordinary people. However, they were nothing in front of these electric dragons. The strength of these undead phoenixes was very high. Ordinary experts of the king rank wouldn't be able to deal with them. However, they were still electrocuted when facing these electric dragons. They roared unceasingly. They simply couldn't dodge and were struck to death by these electric dragons. These undead phoenixes didn't even have a chance to dodge. This was because these electric dragons were simply overwhelming. They were like stormy waves, and everything was completely annihilated in an instant. The female official was dumbfounded as she looked at the scene in front of her. She couldn't believe that there was such a method. They had never thought that one could actually use the power of heavenly tribulation to destroy those undead phoenixes. For ordinary people, these undead phoenixes were very troublesome. They were completely unable to deal with the power of death. However, it was not a problem for the heavenly tribulation of the extreme and pure yang. On the contrary, the power of heavenly tribulation was one of the nemeses of the power of death. Its violent power could destroy all the power of death. In other words, they had never thought that someone's heavenly tribulation could be so violent. For anyone, crossing a heavenly tribulation was a very frightening matter. It could be said that 10 out of 10 people would die, especially the great tribulation of the mysterious realm. It was a very big tribulation, even among those distinguished guests and outstanding experts of various worlds. Only less than half of them could enter the mysterious realm and cross the great tribulation of the mysterious realm. Ordinary people would have no chance of survival. Under such circumstances, many people had to be serious when crossing a heavenly tribulation. They would even be afraid of finding a safe place for closed-door training. Not to mention choosing the place of crossing the heavenly tribulation in the Nirvana pond. This had added countless variables to the situation. Even a wise person wouldn't do such a thing. For generations, the members of the Phoenix clan had attracted the heavenly tribulation in the Nirvana pond. Even if the heavenly tribulation had been weakened by the enchantment, only less than 1 out of 10 people could cross the heavenly tribulation. Their success rate would have been greatly increased if they were in the outside world. Many people would have lost their lives for no reason. Moreover, she had never seen anyone's heavenly tribulation be so fierce. Even the disciples of some extremely noble branches of the Phoenix clan had never heard of anyone who could attract such a terrifying heavenly tribulation. The beginning of the heavenly tribulation was more dreadful than many people's ultimate great tribulation. Yi Shiwen, can you withstand such a heavenly tribulation? The female official opened her red lips and asked. Chapter 1775. Yi Shiwen was sitting in the Nirvana pool. His entire body was surrounded by the deathly aura. At this time, the deathly aura had penetrated deep into his bone marrow. It could even be said that he was beyond saving. This was also the reason why the female official was so surprised when she saw Yi Shiwen's condition. The longer he practiced in the Nirvana pool, the deeper the death energy would invade his body. Even with the strength of a king-level expert, staying in the Nirvana pool for such a long time was almost a dead end for him. The deathly aura had penetrated deep into his bone marrow and could not be removed. The only way was to abandon his body and use his spirit to become a ghost cultivator. Even if he could step into the profound life realm, the price was too high. The loss outweighed the gain. Moreover, if he took another step forward, the deathly aura would penetrate deep into his spirit. At that time, there would be no hope. It would be too late to abandon his body. The female official was already very surprised that he could persist until now. An ordinary king-rank expert would not be able to persist for a day before the deathly aura would penetrate deep into his bone marrow. On the second day, it might even penetrate into his spirit. An outsider who could persevere to this extent was unheard of. Wallalala! Countless thunderbolts directly struck the surface of the Nirvana pool and blasted a big hole. The terrifying power formed a huge storm tide and pushed the magma within a radius of a kilometer out of the Nirvana pool, with Yi Shiwen as the center, and formed a huge hollow. The terrifying thunderbolts were wreaking havoc. Even the phoenixes of the dead in the Nirvana pool did not dare to approach. On the contrary, they fled as far as possible. Moreover, Yi Shiwen had killed more than 300 undead phoenixes during this period of time. So his body had already filled the sky with a fierce aura. The ordinary undead phoenixes would look at him as if they had seen their nemesis. So, how would they dare to approach him? Those thunderbolts struck Yi Shiwen's body. At this time, he was already like a skeleton. His entire body's flesh and blood had been completely devoured by the deathly aura. It was like a corpse that had been dead for a long time. When these thunderbolts struck his body, they first caused a strong rebound from his deathly aura. This deathly aura immediately condensed into ferocious creatures of the dead. They looked up to the sky and roared. They actually dared to fight back against the heavenly tribulation. One by one, the ferocious creatures of the dead pounced on those thunderbolts. Some tore the heavenly tribulation apart, while others were directly struck by the heavenly tribulation. Both sides were like two armies, engaging in a cruel contest in the void assembly. So that's how it is. At this time, The female official, who was 10,000 meters away, opened her red lips and said, her eyes lit up. Even she couldn't help but admire Yi Shiwen. This idea was really amazing. Or it could be said that he was extremely bold. He actually wanted to use the power of heavenly tribulation to eradicate the deathly energy in his body. The deathly energy in his body had already penetrated deep into his bone marrow. It could be said that he was completely hopeless. There was no other way but to abandon his body. Most people would rather not move around in the nirvana pool than let the deathly energy penetrate deep into their bone marrow. The price of doing so was too high. Not only did he dare to do it, he had probably already thought of a way. This kind of courage was not something that an ordinary person would dare to do. Most importantly, even if an ordinary person had the guts, they wouldn't have the strength to do so. However, he had both the strength and the guts to create such a miracle. Boom, boom, boom. In the void, the deathly energy on Yi Shiwen's body and the heavenly tribulation were still colliding fiercely. The deathly energy that penetrated deep into Yi Shiwen's body was not that vulnerable. This kind of deathly energy was directly transformed from the high-level energy of the death law. Although it was restrained by the power of heavenly tribulation, it was not that vulnerable. If this was an ordinary person's heavenly tribulation, it would not be able to shake this deathly energy. However, Yi Shiwen's heavenly tribulation was also exceptionally fierce. This could be seen from the solemn expression of the female official who was far away. When she was crossing her heavenly tribulation, it was far from being as fierce as Yi Shiwen's. The power of heavenly tribulation was still constantly strengthening. Those waves just now were only at the initial stage. Even so, it had already fought evenly with the deathly energy on Yi Shiwen's body. Almost no one could do anything to the other. However, as the heavenly tribulation progressed further and became a mutated heavenly tribulation, the power of death began to be unable to withstand it. It could no longer occupy half of the heavenly tribulation. Instead, it began to gradually lose its hold and began to collapse bit by bit. Bit by bit, it was smashed into powder. Using heavenly tribulation to eliminate the deathly energy is indeed a good idea. But after that, how do you plan to deal with such a violent heavenly tribulation? The female official said to herself. She didn't know what Yi Shiwen would do. The power of death was being eliminated bit by bit. After an unknown amount of time, the power of death was finally completely eliminated in the boundless sea of lightning. At the moment when the deathly energy was eliminated, Yi Shiwen's body, which had been completely withered due to the deathly energy, bounced back almost in an instant. His body, which was originally only skin and bones, began to fill up at a speed visible to the naked eye. Countless flesh and blood were reborn. In a moment, Yi Shiwen had recovered to his peak state at an amazing speed. What kind of healing technique is this? It's so amazing. At this time, the female official was thoroughly shocked. The Phoenix race was famous for their healing ability, but she had never seen such an astonishing recovery speed. It was simply frightening. She had been eroded by the power of death to such an extent. Even if the power of death was eradicated, it would still be impossible for her to recover so quickly. This was the same principle as when a person was sick. Sickness came like a mountain and went away like silk. Even if the person was cured, it was impossible for the body to recuperate so quickly. And an even more amazing scene appeared. Facing the countless descending thunderbolts, Yi Shiwen didn't dodge at all. Instead, he took them head-on with his body. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Countless variant heavenly tribulations bombarded on top of his head. In an instant, a huge roar was formed, forming a huge lightning energy storm. However, this amazing scene didn't exist for long. A big hand stretched out from the lightning storm and grabbed it. These lightning storms were all caught by him. In an instant, Yi Shiwen's figure was revealed. The lightning energy was constantly boiling in his hand, but it couldn't break free from his palm. His palm was like the universe. It could accommodate everything. Nothing could escape from his hand. It was very terrifying. Bang! These variant heavenly tribulations were directly grabbed by his palm and exploded on the spot. They turned into a torrent of energy and poured into his body. It made his body even more perfect, and the rest of the energy was constantly turning into shockwaves that attacked the barrier of the next realm. How terrifying was Yi Shiwen's heavenly tribulations, especially those variant heavenly tribulations. Even if only a part of it was absorbed by him, the impact was so great that he could already feel the cracks in the mysterious realm. Mysterious realm was a mysterious realm. This kind of feeling could only be understood and not explained. It could be said that everyone's situation of entering the mysterious realm was different. It couldn't be taught by words or deeds. Even if one had already entered the mysterious realm, he could understand it. However, he couldn't translate this mysterious realm into words that everyone could understand. So, over time, the mysterious realm became a very difficult realm to cross because there was no experience to speak of. However, the mysterious life realm was about the understanding of the power of life. Yi Shiwen, who had the yin-yang life and death diagram and stayed in the nirvana pond for so long, had a profound understanding of this. He had already reached perfection, otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to attract the heavenly tribulations. Now, he was only one step away from accumulating a huge amount of energy. The comprehension of the mysterious realm experts was 10 times that of the experts of the king level. Their strength was more than 10 times invincible. Ordinary people needed a very long time to accumulate enough energy. However, Yi Shiwen didn't want to wait for such a long time. The purest energy in the world was the heavenly tribulations. It didn't contain a trace of impurities and could be directly absorbed. However, in fact, only Yi Shiwen dared to do this. If anyone else dared to do this, they would have already been blasted to death. There was absolutely no luck. He wanted to reach the pinnacle in one step. This would save ordinary people hundreds of years of hard work. Only people with profound skills like Yi Shiwen would dare to do this. Thinking of this, Yi Shiwen didn't stop. He directly ascended to the sky in one step and rushed towards the direction of the heavenly tribulations. At this time, the female official state of mind had already reached a very high level. However, at this time, she was dumbfounded. She had seen too many people crossing the heavenly tribulations. However, she had never seen a person crossing the heavenly tribulations in such a ferocious manner. Not only was he not afraid of the heavenly tribulations, but he also wanted to rush towards the heavenly tribulations. He was simply a madman. Moreover, he was a powerful madman. How could such a person be born in the human race? Bang! 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 Yi Shiwen started a massacre in the heavenly tribulations clouds. Those newly formed strange beasts were simply no match for him. They were directly blown up by him on the spot. Some of them were pinched and exploded on the spot. Some of them simply didn't have enough time to react and exploded on the spot. Countless lightning torrents were absorbed by Yi Shiwen and replenished his body. Little by little, Yi Shiwen's aura was constantly rising. It seemed as if it had reached the limit. The terrifying torrents were like a flood breaking through a dam, directly destroying everything. And Yi Shiwen's strength finally climbed to the extreme. He broke through the barrier of the mysterious realm in one fell swoop. Mysterious realm. He had finally stepped into the mysterious realm. Although he was merely at the initial stage of the mysterious life realm, but he could feel that the whole world seemed to have changed. Chapter 1776. Compared to the King Division, the profound realm was a whole new realm. After stepping into the profound realm, his comprehension of the world had reached a whole new level. Only those who had truly stepped into the profound life realm could be considered to have stepped into the level of the ancient monsters. The king ranks were only the most tyrannical experts of the ancient times. Yi Shiwen was very clear on this point. Previously, during the battle to eradicate the Nine Infants clan, he had encountered an old ancestor of the initial stage of the profound life realm. At that time, Yi Shiwen had been forced to retreat in defeat. If not for King Taitsong holding the line, perhaps the entire army would have been wiped out on the spot. The difference in strength between a King Division expert in a profound life realm expert was just too great. The most terrifying characteristic of profound life realm experts was that they could not be killed. Profound life realm experts had already comprehended the power of life. It could be said that they had an endless supply of life energy and could even absorb life energy from the void to replenish themselves. This was the foundation of eternal life. It could be said that only by truly stepping into the profound life realm could one be considered to have truly stepped onto the path of eternal life. Every living creature had a limit to their lifespan. The human race's lifespan was 10,000 years. After 10,000 years, no matter what method was used to maintain one's lifespan, one would die quickly. This was something unavoidable. Even the heaven realm experts, who were said to have merged with the world, were no exception. However, profound life realm experts had the ability to absorb life energy. Although they could not break through the limit of 10,000 years, they had begun to have the foundation of eternal life. Therefore, the profound realm was the starting point of the path of eternal life. As for those below the profound realm, in the eyes of many, they did not even have the qualifications to touch the path of eternal life. As for the profound life stage experts who possessed the ability to absorb life force, their injuries would be mostly healed within a breath's time. It would be extremely difficult to kill them. Even if they were surrounded by a group of king-tier experts, they would not be afraid at all. Even if there were 100 or 80 of them, they would not be a match for them. This was also why Ao Shiba did not take Hai Wuya seriously. No matter how powerful the King Division experts were, they could not be a match for him. And now, Yi Shiwen had also stepped into this realm. Within his body, a tyrannical power was constantly increasing, growing crazily with every passing minute and second. The dreadful energy had formed a huge storm around him. It looked like a cocoon from afar, and Yi Shiwen was in the center of the cocoon. He looked like a metamorphosing butterfly that could soar into the sky at any time. Above his head was a picture scroll that had a clear distinction between yin and yang. The power of yin and yang, life and death surged within it, forming a new balance. It gave off a truly terrifying aura, and wherever it passed, it seemed like it could destroy everything. Yi Shiwen closed his eyes and waited for the final transformation. He really succeeded. A strange light flickered in the female official's eyes. Alas, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. For the first time, the female officer felt overwhelmed and didn't know what to do. She didn't know what kind of attitude she should take. I hope it won't disappoint me. For the current ancient Phoenix realm, it could be said that there were continuous happy events. First, it was their prince's wedding, and they had invited prominent figures from various realms. After that, it was the selection of a son-in-law for the heavenly Phoenix maiden. Many geniuses had competed together, and they had experienced many battles. Among them, there were also many geniuses from the ancient Phoenix realm who had displayed their skills. The competition between the formidable geniuses of various worlds had made the people of the ancient Phoenix world cry out in excitement. All of them were experts of the king tier or above. They could be said to be the most elite of the various worlds. One could well imagine how intense the battle between them would be. You're right. In the end, after a series of battles, a young heaven's pride in the ancient Phoenix realm, Feng Yuan, defeated many opponents from various realms, and finally won the championship. Thus, he won the heart of the beauty and became the son-in-law of the heavenly Phoenix maiden. Although the geniuses from various realms were somewhat unwilling, they had no choice but to admire Feng Yuan's dreadful strength. After this battle, Feng Yuan could be said to have shaken various realms overnight, and his name was known throughout the world. At this time, there were also some people who had already understood. At this time, they realized that the selection of the heavenly Phoenix maiden's son-in-law might have been problematic from the very beginning. If it had been a selection of a son-in-law, it would have been announced to the whole world a few years ago. They wouldn't have waited until the last moment to tell them that the heavenly Phoenix maiden was going to select a son-in-law. Although they believed that their strength wasn't bad, they definitely couldn't be considered a top-notch powerhouse. At the very least, those figures who could move unhindered in the profound realm battlefield hadn't appeared yet. Only Ao Sheba and Qin Lai had appeared, which didn't count for much. Moreover, at the very last moment, Ao Sheba and Qin Lai, who had always been fiercely competing and had been the most optimistic, had also withdrawn from the competition. All of them were brimming with killing intent and tyrannical strength in the imperial city. After 3 days, all the big shots had also rushed over. The Phoenix King had specially built a huge villa in the imperial city as the venue for the wedding. Many huge creatures had also shrunk their figures. They didn't dare to act presumptuously in the imperial city of the ancient Phoenix realm. Everyone had different expressions on their faces. However, they still exposed a smile on their faces to show some respect to the ancient Phoenix realm. Damn it! Why is this Yi Shiwen so unreliable? Didn't he say that he would definitely appear? But that Feng Yuan guy has won the championship. What should we do? Don't tell me that elder sister Hua will marry that Feng Yuan guy? That little girl was constantly pacing back and forth at the entrance of the villa. She was extremely anxious. This won't do. We can't let things go on like this. Elder sister Hua will marry him if things go on like this. I must think of a way to rescue elder sister Hua. She hated Yi Shiwen to the core at this time. She also hated Yi Shiwen to the core. She couldn't question the decision of the higher-ups. Many people in the ancient Phoenix realm were very clear that this competition had already been decided internally. However, it was useless even if this was the case. The only method she could think of was to use the loopholes in the rules. Could the ancient Phoenix realm slap their own faces if Yi Shiwen won the championship? This was naturally impossible. Therefore, the only bargaining chip that could change everything was Yi Shiwen. It was a pity that this damned Yi Shiwen was extremely unreliable. They had agreed to let him come. However, he hadn't appeared even after Feng Yuan had won the championship. He was simply a rotten person. I have a rumor that the Heavenly Phoenix girl wasn't willing to marry Feng Yuan. What do you mean? How could it be that she wasn't willing? Why would she choose a son-in-law if she wasn't willing? I've also heard about this in the past few days. It's said that Feng Yuan has always been pursuing this Heavenly Phoenix girl. It's just that this Heavenly Phoenix girl doesn't give him any face. Feng Yuan has won the championship this time. So, it naturally won't be the result that the Heavenly Phoenix girl wants. Perhaps it will add to the waves. Now that you've mentioned it, it's true. Speaking of which, I seem to have heard a few people of the ancient Phoenix realm say that we must be careful and guard against that Yi Shiwen. Why must we be careful and guard against Yi Shiwen? Considering the strength of the ancient Phoenix realm, wouldn't Yi Shiwen bring about his own destruction if he were to cause trouble? I don't know. Listen quickly. The bell has rung. The wedding is about to begin. Dong! 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 The sound of a huge bell instantly spread throughout the entire ancient Phoenix realm. Chapter 1777. Clang! 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 The sound of a huge bell instantly spread throughout the entire ancient Phoenix world. The sound of the ancient bell fiercely shook the little girl's heart. She bit her lower lip and was about to return. Suddenly, a powerful and vast aura came from the distant horizon. The array in the entire villa was also revived in an instant. It seemed as if it had received some kind of intense stimulation. There were many experts in the villa. They reacted almost immediately and looked at the void one after another. They were also very powerful. However, they had restrained themselves at this time. They had to give the ancient Phoenix world some face. Who goes there? A loud shout was heard from the depths of the villa. An expert berated. Yi Shiwen. As soon as these 3 words came out, many people who had already harbored thoughts in their hearts immediately reacted. Yi Shiwen is here. He's really here. They all said that they had to guard against Yi Shiwen. Could it be that there's something going on between them? Many people immediately thought. At this time, someone else said, "Are you here to attend the wedding?" If that's the case, then retract your imposing manner. This is simply too impolite. Isn't the Heavenly Phoenix maiden looking for a son-in-law? I've specially come here to attend. That figure was getting closer and closer. Finally, a cyan figure was revealed. It was Yi Shiwen. You're late. I heard that you were cultivating in the Nirvana pool. Perhaps you're not very clear about this. The Heavenly Phoenix Maiden's son-in-law selection has already ended. Someone explained, it was a genius of the Phoenix race in the villa. It's over? I haven't come yet. How can it be considered over? Accompanied by a domineering ending, a cyan figure had already landed in front of everyone. It was none other than Yi Shiwen. He's finally here. At this time, the little girl's face finally revealed a somewhat relieved expression. He had finally arrived. Although he had arrived a long time ago, it was still better than not having any news at all. Not good. If he comes at this time, won't he just run into the muzzle of a gun? Who knows how many people are waiting for this opportunity to deal with him. If he comes before, even if he wins, they won't have anything to say. But now, no matter what he does, it won't be right. The little girl quickly reacted. She knew very well that many people in the ancient Phoenix world were waiting for Yi Shiwen to deliver himself to their doorstep. So, she was constantly complaining in her heart. Yi Shiwen hadn't come before. So, what's the use of him coming now? Yi Shiwen's words were like a clap of thunder, instantly exploding in everyone's heart. Everyone stood up one after another. After a brief silence, there was an uproar. They couldn't believe what they had heard. If they didn't hear it wrong, Yi Shiwen was probably here to cause trouble. It was obviously over, but Yi Shiwen said it wasn't over yet. So what if he didn't come to cause trouble? Although they were separated by a villa, everyone's divine senses had locked onto Yi Shiwen. Yi Shiwen landed at the foot of the villa. Then he walked up the stairs and went towards the plaza inside the villa. This time, the wedding would be held in this vast plaza. Yi Shiwen, why did you come so late? The little girl looked at Yi Shiwen and said in a somewhat resentful manner. Sorry, I was held up by some matters. So, I'm late. Yi Shiwen replied with a smile. Forget it. Let's not talk about this. What's the use of you coming now? You're going to get married. The little girl complained. I haven't even arrived yet. How can you start like this? Yi Shiwen smiled and said. Then he looked at the little girl and said, Don't worry. It's all right. Leave the matters here to me. Yi Shiwen patted the little girl's head after he said that. The little girl grimaced in dissatisfaction. Yi Shiwen took a step forward. Then he walked up the stairs and began to walk in the direction of the villa. It can't be. Is he planning to cause trouble? He's not crazy, right? Everyone began to mutter. They couldn't believe it. Yi Shiwen was strong. However, he couldn't provoke the entire world with his individual strength. Did he really think that he was an emperor? Everyone was somewhat speechless. Many people thought that Yi Shiwen was crazy. He was arrogant, and too arrogant. This wasn't an ordinary kind of arrogance. What did he think this place was? This was the imperial city of the ancient Phoenix world. Did he think that he could get out of here alive after causing trouble here? Yi Shiwen, stop. We welcome you if you want to attend the wedding. However, don't blame us for being impolite if you want to cause trouble. An expert of the Phoenix race stepped forward and said while looking coldly at Yi Shiwen. Many experts of the Phoenix race appeared behind him. They had a somewhat relaxed smile on their faces. Their attitude was very obvious. It was obvious that they didn't put Yi Shiwen in their eyes. They didn't think that he had the ability to threaten them and others. A puny human dared to be presumptuous here. He must be tired of living. Yi Shiwen took one step at a time. However, he didn't have the slightest intention of stopping. I'm talking to you. Can't you hear me? An expert of the Phoenix race launched an attack at this time. He directly berated Yi Shiwen. He became extremely angry when he saw that Yi Shiwen had dared to ignore him. This was a middle-aged man. He was in the prime of his life. He wasn't too old. His strength was tyrannical. He had already entered the king rank. He was one of the leaders present here. His status was very noble. Get lost, Yi Shiwen said in a cold voice. Who do you think you are? Do you think you're worthy to talk to me? How dare you? This middle-aged man suddenly became furious. He was a dignified king rank expert. However, he had been humiliated in such a way, and he hadn't put him in his eyes at all. Who do you think you are? Do you really think that you're the Phoenix King? He said in a cold voice. He then went straight in the direction of the public square. He didn't stop even for a moment. I think you want to kill yourself in this world, this middle-aged man coldly said. He had been berated by Yi Shiwen. It was an extraordinary shame and humiliation for him. He had never thought that he would be berated by a junior in such a way. His expression was indifferent. It wasn't clear how cold it was. His eyes exuded a terrifying radiance. Kill yourself in this world? I think you're still far from enough. Yi Shiwen chuckled and continued. Call Feng Yuan out. As long as he can defeat me, I'll leave immediately without another word. Yi Shiwen said in a cold voice. He was extremely confident at the same time. How could he have the confidence to defeat Feng Yuan if he didn't have such unparalleled confidence? Yi Shiwen, Feng Yuan, and the Heavenly Phoenix Girl's wedding has already begun. You want to cause trouble at this time? You're too rude. You're challenging the dignity of our ancient Phoenix realm. This expert continued with a cold expression. The dignity of the ancient Phoenix realm? You can't represent the ancient Phoenix realm. Neither can Feng Yuan. I'm not here to cause trouble today. I don't want to challenge the dignity of the ancient Phoenix realm either. I just want to see Ming Han. She's looking for a son-in-law. However, I've heard that she isn't very happy about it. Yi Shiwen mercilessly exposed the lie that the ancient Phoenix realm had maintained for a long time. The complexions of the people of the ancient Phoenix realm suddenly turned ugly, especially those who were related to this matter. Their complexions turned ashen. Apart from the experts of their Phoenix race, there were also the big shots of the major forces of the ancient Phoenix realm. There were also big shots and outstanding elites from various worlds. The Heavenly Phoenix Girl wasn't willing to get married. Once this news spread, it would undoubtedly deal a heavy blow to the reputation of the ancient Phoenix realm. Their ancient Phoenix realm had painstakingly gone through many twists and turns in order to smooth over this matter. However, it had become a joke because of Yi Shiwen's words. A big joke. How is this possible? The Heavenly Phoenix Girl is looking for a son-in-law. How could it be fake? Why would our clan choose a husband for her if she didn't agree? An expert of the ancient Phoenix realm retorted. Is that so? Let her come out and meet me if this is true. I'll leave immediately as long as she personally tells me that she's willing to get married. I won't entangle her in the slightest. Yi Shiwen spoke up in a sinking voice. His gaze had turned ice cold. His tone had also become increasingly ice cold. The big shots of various clans and forces suddenly became interested in this matter as they heard Yi Shiwen's words. They looked at the expressions of the people of the ancient Phoenix realm. They seemed to be in a very difficult situation. Their complexions had turned even uglier. It was very easy to prove the truth of this matter. All the doubts would be solved as long as Hua Minghan came out and said a few words. However, the people of the ancient Phoenix realm seemed to be in a very difficult situation. It seemed as if they were confirming Yi Shiwen's words that Hua Minghan wasn't willing to get married. Then, everything would become very interesting if this was the case. The dignified ancient Phoenix realm had used this kind of method to force the Heaven's Pride expert of their own clan to get married. Some people thought about all kinds of unusual things that had happened during this period of time. They felt very strange. However, all these strange things would have a reasonable explanation if this was the case. And everything would be normal. Some people were thinking about the relationship between Yi Shiwen and the Heavenly Phoenix Girl, Hua Minghan. It seemed that their relationship wasn't shallow. Otherwise, why would he come forward at this critical time? Could it be that there was an affair between them? Many people's hearts were beating unceasingly. However, even more people had the expression of watching a good show. After all, it would be very interesting if this was the case. They hadn't expected that they would be able to watch a good show for free after coming to the ancient Phoenix realm. Many people were also secretly shocked by Yi Shiwen's courage. He had dared to provoke a big world like the ancient Phoenix realm by himself. This could be regarded as unprecedented. And he had dared to do such a thing. Yi Shiwen, I think you're tired of living. The middle-aged man finally couldn't bear it any longer. He immediately attacked. Chapter 1778. The middle-aged man shouted coldly and immediately attacked. Boundless flames rushed out and transformed into a huge fire phoenix. Then, it majestically swooped down towards Yi Shiwen. The dreadful strength of a king-rank expert had been revealed in an instant. He understood that he couldn't let Yi Shiwen continue to talk. Otherwise, he wouldn't know what kind of things would come out. The ancient Phoenix world had lost face today, so he couldn't allow Yi Shiwen to leave so easily. Bang! The flames burned through the void and landed on Yi Shiwen's body with a loud rumble. Yi Shiwen didn't dodge. In fact, he didn't even move. The boundless flames disappeared. It seemed as if they had been absorbed by some kind of power. The flames had almost disappeared in an instant. They had been completely absorbed by Yi Shiwen. How is this possible? The middle-aged man was shocked. He had heard that Yi Shiwen wasn't a simple person. However, he hadn't expected that he would be so tyrannical. His attack had been completely broken by Yi Shiwen. Damn it, don't be too arrogant. He shouted loudly. His figure exploded, and he pounced towards Yi Shiwen to kill him. He tore through the void and left many afterimages. He didn't stop at all. However, Yi Shiwen's speed was even faster. He shot a cold glance at him and then slapped him. Yi Shiwen's speed was too fast. However, it was extremely slow in the eyes of the middle-aged man. He could even see the lines of Yi Shiwen's palm. However, it was useless. He felt that he couldn't control his own figure. He couldn't dodge in time. So, he was slapped by Yi Shiwen. Bang! He was slapped by Yi Shiwen on the spot, and his entire body was sent flying. All the teeth in his mouth had been smashed into pieces. He vomited blood and severely crashed into a big tree. Then he rolled down. This big tree blossomed with 7 colored rays of light, and it had absorbed all the power of Yi Shiwen's attack. It was just a random big tree on the roadside. However, it was already so powerful. One could well imagine how profound the heritage of the ancient Phoenix world was. Silence. The entire place was silent. Everyone seemed to be somewhat dumbfounded as they looked at the middle-aged man who had been sent flying by Yi Shiwen's slap. That was an expert of king grade. He wasn't some trash who could be casually beheaded by Yi Shiwen. Yi Shiwen had sent a king-level expert flying with just one slap. What kind of concept was this? What kind of strength was this? No one dared to imagine it. This Yi Shiwen had dared to come here to cause trouble. Perhaps he was not an ordinary person. Yi Shiwen didn't care about the middle-aged man after sending him flying. He went straight up the stairs and continued to walk in the direction of the square. How dare you, Yi Shiwen? How dare you make trouble at the wedding? You've committed heinous crimes. Don't blame us for not giving face to your ancient human race and King Taitsong. An old voice came from the void at this time. The ancient Phoenix world had tolerated Yi Shiwen until now. They hadn't dared to attack him casually. This was largely because the deterrent power of King Taitsong was too terrifying. The existence of a half-step Emperor Realm expert was rare even in the history of the ancient Phoenix world. Such a person could be said to be a matchless character. You have to fight for your own face. You've never relied on others' charity. Yi Shiwen coldly said, I didn't intend to cause trouble today. However, I must hear Meng Han's reply. Why don't you dare to let her reply since you feel that there's no problem with what you've done? Or, have you done something dirty and shameful like I've said? Yi Shiwen's words immediately caused an uproar among the leaders of the various forces. Yi Shiwen had indeed arrived here. The ancient Phoenix world was afraid of King Taitsong. So, they didn't dare to attack Yi Shiwen directly. Then, they would let Meng Han come out to speak. She would only need to say one sentence to prove that what Yi Shiwen had said was merely his own delusion. Then his reputation would be completely destroyed. Moreover, the ancient Phoenix world would then attack again. Even King Taitsong wouldn't be able to point out a bigger mistake if he were to arrive here. However, the Phoenix race had refused to let Meng Han come out. Therefore, everyone wanted to figure out the meaning behind this. I think you're still unaware of your impending doom. You may be the last disciple of King Taitsong, but don't think that you can act presumptuously in the ancient Phoenix world. This isn't a place where you can act presumptuously. That old voice was sonorous and powerful. It was aimed directly at Yi Shiwen's heart. It was deafening. It seemed as if he wanted to nail Yi Shiwen to the pillar of shame in history. In fact, it seemed as if Yi Shiwen was a sinner of the human race. Yi Shiwen didn't hesitate. His imposing aura remained the same as before. He moved forward courageously. He didn't stop at all as he continued to speak. You had forcibly taken Meng Han away a few hundred years ago. Did you ever think that I would come and take her away after a few hundred years? What? The heavenly phoenix maiden was forcibly taken away by them? Someone said in astonishment. I hadn't expected that there would be such a secret behind this. It's no wonder that someone had said that Hua Meng Han wasn't a member of the phoenix race. It seems that it's true. It's not a lie. The ancient phoenix world is very interesting. Everyone in the ancient phoenix world had different complexions on their faces. Some people knew about this matter. It wasn't strange. However, Yi Shiwen had exposed this matter. So, they were naturally very angry in their hearts. However, most people didn't know about this history. Many people only knew that Hua Meng Han was the last disciple of the Phoenix King. She possessed a mysterious bloodline. And she was very important to the Phoenix race. However, they hadn't thought that there would be such a secret behind this matter. It was obvious that everything hadn't been smooth sailing. Nonsense. How is this possible? How powerful is our Phoenix race? We have such a great reputation. So, it's impossible to forcibly take away an outsider. That's right, Yi Shiwen. You have evil intentions. You've spread such rumors. Many people of the ancient Phoenix world refuse to believe this. In fact, many of Hua Meng Han's pursuers couldn't believe that their goddess had been brought to the ancient Phoenix world in such a manner. Is what I'm saying true or false? Feng Ling, do you dare to come out and speak? Didn't you say that I'm inferior to an ant? Didn't you say that I don't have the qualifications to appear in front of you? What do you think? I was an ant in your eyes back then. Do I still have the qualifications to stand in front of a phoenix that can soar to the ninth heaven like you? Yi Shiwen loudly said. His voice spread throughout the entire villa. There was a trace of madness in his expression. It had been hundreds of years. He had felt wronged and angry in his heart for hundreds of years. Hua Meng Han had been taken away by Feng Ling right under his nose. He hadn't been given the slightest opportunity to salvage the situation. He hadn't been given the slightest opportunity to explain. Perhaps Yi Shiwen had been as weak as an ant in Feng Ling's eyes at that time. Perhaps no one in the entire true martial world would have been able to enter his eyes if it hadn't been for Hua Meng Han. So, he would have looked at Yi Shiwen a little longer. He had been extremely angry in his heart at that time. He had also been annoyed that he had been useless. He had allowed Hua Meng Han to be taken away. However, that didn't mean that Yi Shiwen would have backed down. After all, that was absolutely impossible. Hundreds of years had passed in the blink of an eye. He had been an ant in the past. However, he had arrived in the ancient Phoenix world in an upright manner. You shouldn't have come. An ice-cold voice resounded at this time. Then, the aura of an incomparably tyrannical expert swept over from the plaza at the top of the mountain. It was a middle-aged man. Yi Shiwen hadn't seen this man for many years. However, he would never forget this man's face even if the world turned desolate. This man had humiliated him and had wanted to trample him to death like an ant. Yi Shiwen would have died in Feng Ling's hands at that time if Yi Mo hadn't used the taboo technique. In fact, he wouldn't have been able to attain his present cultivation. It was a momentary mistake at that time. That's why you've taken advantage of me. Feng Ling said in an ice-cold and ruthless manner. He had taken Hua Meng Han away hundreds of years ago. He hadn't put Yi Shiwen in his eyes, even though Yi Shiwen had displayed the strength of a king-level expert a moment ago. Did you really make a momentary mistake? No. You wanted to kill me at that time. Unfortunately, you didn't have the ability to do so at that time. Yi Shiwen sneered and said. It could be said that Feng Ling was as unfathomable as the sea for him in the past. He couldn't have guessed what kind of realm he was in. He had casually released his imposing aura to kill him. Perhaps he would have died a long time ago if Hua Meng Han hadn't risked her life to save him. Yi Mo hadn't suddenly erupted. It could be said that Feng Ling was cruel and merciless. He would cut the weeds and eliminate the roots. He wouldn't leave any future troubles. Yi Shiwen had been an ant-like existence at that time. However, he had also wanted to behead Yi Shiwen. Yi Shiwen's cultivation had improved little by little. So, he had gradually realized that Feng Ling had been a dreadful existence at the king level at that time. It could have been said that Feng Ling had crushed Yi Shiwen to death at that time, without any pressure. Now hundreds of years had passed. No one knew what level he had reached. However, Yi Shiwen had become more confident. I didn't kill you at that time. I didn't expect that you would grow to this point. However, it's not too late to make up for that mistake. We respect King Taizong, but don't think that we're afraid of him. You've courted death. So, you can't blame anyone. You were lucky that he had fought for an opportunity to escape for you. Unfortunately, you didn't cherish it. So, let me send you to hell. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.